Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP, and today's topic: hip hop 50th anniversary rally conversation. The genre of hip hop is not going anywhere within this near future. And again, I'm talking about the genre of hip hop. But unfortunately, because of a little white lies, some brown lies, some yellow lies, and some supremacist lies, as well as some latecomer lies, etc., which then produces constant confusion about hip hop or sections of hip hop that still is so strong right now in present time. Now it's like our special powerful speaker. He's relayed this analogy before of like this gas station part of it. That I'm paraphrasing this, that when people come in and they start grabbing things off the shelf, off the counters, open up doors and things like that. And someone says, hey, what are y'all doing? You had a personnel that be like, hey man, what's the problem? It's for all people. Now while they're walking out the door, they're laughing and stuff like that, since they know that there is certain numbers of American blacks that would not be allowed to do that same type of nonsense, right? To take things off shelves of their creation, right? And in this situation, the creation of a type of hip hop, right? So with that being said, let me introduce you to this our powerful speaker. Now we've done a couple of different podcasts, and definitely the 50th anniversary per se hip hop is a great show to get his perspective on. He is not some random person just blabbing off. He is definitely someone that needs to be showcased a lot more. He is the author of the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and the Power of Black Music. And you have to have some elephant size, you know what, to even fix a black person's mouth, let alone a black man's mouth, to include the word black music in the same breath in the title of his book with the words Beatles and the Rolling Stones. He's also the author of Hip Hop Collectathon, an anthology of philosophies, facts, opinions, ideals, music, art, history, and culture from various perspectives. Now, both of these books have sample pages that a person or personnel can read on Amazon at this time. Now, actually, let me just show you some quick image or two of the front of the books. I'm just showing you just the image of the front of the books. And if you're interested, then you can just go to Amazon and look at a couple of some sample pages. So give me one moment while I show you a couple of different sample pages on that. This is the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Power of Black Music. As you see, very nice cover. A lot of good symbology in that. Very nice, isn't it? Very nice. And so let me take a look for a second here. The Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Power of Black Music. And the other powerful book he has, especially dealing with this show about hip hop, is the Hip Hop Collectathon book that he's authored as well. Give me one moment. One moment. Where is. All right. Did you see Hip Hop Collectathon? The front page of the book. A lot of good symbology in the front as well. Two great, powerful books. And again, on Amazon, you can take a look at some of the samples of pages. All right. So now, let's get it rolling now. 1 minute before I introduce you to our powerful speaker. Give me one moment. Oh, this is going to be a great show, should I say? Give me one moment. Here we go. Welcome to the Real CP Show, Professor LA. Appreciate you for taking your time, man, to get on the Real CP Show, brother.
Oh, well, peace and blessings, CP. Thank you for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure to be on your show, man, and try to bring some information to the light for those that might know and a lot of folks who don't know, so we can
Mm.
all grow. I could have put that in a rap song for those that don't know, for those who might know, and for those who might want to know, so we can grow.
Oh man, that's some philosophical type philosophicalness type wisdom, brother. So let me go and get this rolling, man. So Professor LA, what is your definition or your thoughts on the difference of the words hip hop and rap? But if there's a difference in those two things.
Well, technically, and I would say, to be honest, rap is a part of hip hop. Rapping is the form, it's the verbal style, it's the usage of word, it's the MCing. So it's
Mm-hmm.
actually a part of hip hop. Hip hop itself is a genre that starts completely with the African in the United States or black people of America in the South Bronx. It started as parties and block parties actually in the South Bronx back in 1973. They say. However, when I say that, for me, it doesn't start until 1979. And I think for the rest of the world and most of the United States, those of us that are also truly in the hip hop, it starts in 1979 because I know DJ Cool, Hurt, and DJ Cool Lit. I know about them, but I don't have any of their records. So it don't, so and
Mm-hmm.
nobody I know that's a hip hop head owns any records prior to 1979. So again, that's we're gonna get down nitty gritty of what hip hop is. But again, in my book, I give a different philosophy of what it is through wordology. Uh, it can be called many things. My book, which I wrote, that's been about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Um, I had to give a short, complete snippet definition of what it is to me.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but basically, I just gave you a kind of unofficial description of where it started and what it is. It combines also breakdancing. It combines DJing. It combines dubbing, which is a Jamaican art form. I guess that's why some people say it comes from Jamaica. That's one piece of it. That's an art form. But keep in mind, the people that they came from Jamaica, that they associate with hip hop, had moved here and started listening to, imitating, and utilizing what we call black music in America. So
Mm.
it ain't like we hear when I listen to Bob Marley or Peter Tosh or a reggae artist. I don't hear hip hop in there, and
Mm.
I love reggae. But anyway, that's a whole different
Well,
area because I've had people say, well, you thinking? I say toasting, toasting. I hear that in ska. I hear it in British punk and ska that people like English Beat and the groups like the Selector, Madness, those kind of a ska new wave bands that were around the 80s, but I don't hear hip hop.
mm.
So, maybe like I say, I'm a music connoisseur and I have a library of music. So you can't lose me on any genre for the most part. I'm pretty general on the genres that I have.
Okay.
But
Oh, that's good.
so
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
no, I'm just gonna say so. I didn't want to be too wordy, but
Right.
just to add information to the impact. It's very important that people, don't go by what they hear. Study, read, do the research. Because people tell
Mm.
you anything. We as a people have a tendency to go by what we hear. Sound bites people can get podcast and say anything. And if it brings shock value or shock culture, we'll eat it up. And we think that's deep knowledge and information. And then I've read one book. So I'm just, so we got to be
Well,
careful about stuff like that, man. But
well,
anyway,
but it was Richard, but it's one of those things where this is one of those other questions I want to ask you relating to that part. So what is your thoughts on how come then uh, it seems like there's still some confusion on development, the various elements of hip hop, like again the origins and or pre-origin. It's like there's still this confusion. Now, I don't know if it's on purpose or just people not putting the research in to find it themselves. What you said, the sound bites on that.
well, on hip hop, it's a little bit of all of that. Hip hop
Mhm,
was started off essentially black.
mhm,
Black people had more control. You had Enjoy Records, you had Sugar Hill Records, those, and you had other black-owned hip hop labels early on. But when Prod and the white conglomerates started coming in, that changed the path. Then white guys started coming up with like the Source magazine and you
mhm,
know uh, other hip hop magazines, the Vibes and all that sort of thing. And so it kind of when the voice of hip hop got colonized or colonialized, it kind of changed the direction a little bit.
mm,
So if it might start black at the roots, then if certain white people get a hold to it, it doesn't go in the same direction anymore. Malcolm said that about the March on Washington in 1963. Initially, when they Philip Randolph had planned it, they were going to raise hell and they were going to do the thing. But
mhm,
when certain whites got involved, it turned into a picnic. So
mm,
I
mm,
so I look at the same thing with hip hop. I mean, there's a record there. I mean, there's something to say about evidence and the historical correlations. I also would have to add, like the godmother or the mother of hip hop, Sylvia Robinson, may she rest in peace. What she did with Sugar Hill Records really was the original face of hip hop in terms of what would become the music of the young nation back in the early '80s. I mean, because but you had Sugar Hill, you were bad. You mean you were something. Because that was a special label with a special look, that light blue color with that red record in it and all that. I mean, that was beautiful. And then they brought us the Sugar Hill Gang, Grandmaster Flash, the Sequence, Spoonie G. That's the hip hop we start off with. Then Curtis Blow, but Curtis Blow I believe was on Mercury, or I
mhm,
guess that was Mercury. Christmas rapping from 1979, which was also great. So that's hip hop and the origins of it,
okay.
and
Now,
how it starts with us.
Sylvia Robinson, was she black? Was she white? Was Hispanic
She
or
was
what?
oh no, she was a sister, black woman. Sylvia Robinson was an artist herself. She was a talented musician, writer, songwriter, and music connoisseur and production person. Uh, Joey Robinson, that was her husband, and she had a son too that played with the West Street Mob and also did some producing. The West Street Mob was a house band for Sugar Hill Records. They play a lot of the music you hear behind the different groups that West Street, wherever you hear live instrumentation of music, like when the West Street Mob had a big hit called "Make Your Body Move." It was kind of a dance electronica, Roger Troutman sounding hip hop disco record that came out early on in the '80s. Sylvia also was known for not just the mother of creating Sugar Hill Records, but the mother of hip hop. I would also give her credit for being one of those rock and roll voices. She sung with this guy. His name was Mickey. They had a group called Mickey and Sylvia back in the '50s, and they had a big hit called "Love Is Strange." Love is strange. If anybody's listening to this, to your show that's older than me, that's I guess in their past 50 something that was growing up in the 50s, 60s, they definitely know her because I didn't find out to her until I didn't find out about her being a rock and roll part of that Mickey and Sylvia duet or duo until I was like probably like in the 11th grade or something back in the 80s.
Mhm,
So uh, she was a brilliant songwriter too, and she also produced groups like The Moments.
Mm.
who did Come On Sexy Mama. She wrote songs for people like that and other soul groups. So she was a very talented woman. May she rest in peace. And she is a goddess that often, when hip hop is acknowledged, they hardly ever mention her name. I mean, they just did, the Grammys just did some kind of a 50 years of hip hop. The Grammy presents the colonial version of 50 years of hip hop. So Sylvia Robinson was mentioned. Or
Right.
at least from what I see, she wouldn't mention. Now, if she was mentioned at the beginning of the show, I take back what I said, but I doubt it seriously.
Well, when you say that, when I ask you that question, was she, a black woman or white? And you have some people that be like, well, playing little games that's numbers of them do. They say, well, why you got to bring race into it? Now, for me, my patience is very thin on nonsense. I guess as I get older, because it's like what some of them are doing and stuff like that, and some others, right? But see, this is why I feel when some people try to play those kind of tactics. Why you got to bring race into it? I'm like this. Because I'm sitting there trying to get away from that nonsense. I don't know what you think about that clip on that part.
That was a great dancing tap man there.
Yes, sir.
Back in the day. Was that Stormy Weather?
Yeah, that was Shine.
Shine from okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I saw that way back. When people do that, man, there's a tendency, and I'm not Dr. Amos Wilson, but he's one of my favorite voices.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of just literal knowledge and information that I've always respected and loved. I have his books. I went to see him when he was alive. But there was some of the stuff that Dr. Amos Wilson says is so spot on, even to this day. Um, we always have black people that feel like they're pushing racial buttons if we say things about race. My thing is the whole composition of race was created by white people, white men to be exact. They created the composition of race because race is unrealistic. Technically, there's only one race, which is the human race. But living in America, since white men created racism, which was based around race, we have to go by race. The social dynamics of black and white only matter because white people made them matter. When people self-describe or categorize themselves as white, meaning that if you were not white, which no one is literally white, then you're the opposite of white. And the darker you are, the more hell you caught. And that's how the game has been set up and the game has been rigged. It's a psychological phenomenon, and it was set up by design. And the saddest thing is, I actually think we were more informative in the '90s. If I look at the late '80s to early '90s to mid '90s, I think Black America, just as a group, was more informed and more knowledgeable on not just political issues, but social issues, including our music issues like hip hop. I think we had more of an informative period at that time. But I think now we've been dummied down thanks to current, what people are calling current hip hop, which is might be more rapping than it is hip hop in terms of
Mm-hmm.
what, when you hear someone like Mos Def describe what hip hop is versus rapping, or KRS One define what hip hop is versus rap. There's a lot of people that rap, but very few people give you hip hop, real MCs. And that's why you hear some artists say real hip hop. They normally talking about conscious artists when they say that anyway.
Mm.
You
Because
know.
that when I was playing at the video a second ago, because they have a tendency to look upon numbers of modern day numbers of American blacks and say we could just fool in with all kind of nonsense and things like that. But see, when they finish talking to us a certain way, this is what they be doing a lot of times too.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what they do. That's what they do constantly. And now relating to hip hop, I mean, there are some parts of what they do as well. But see, so I'm gonna go ahead and play this first particular video to go ahead and set the mood, should I say? Uh,
Okay.
One moment, Hero. Yeah, this is gonna be a good little video, Hero. Uh, this is from actually from Mr. Skip Gates on that.
Okay.
1 second, Hero. Uh, that's it. Word, make sure get this set up right. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
In August 1973, a young Jamaican-born New Yorker known as DJ Coolhurt threw a party in the South Bronx. With a pair of turntables, he improvised a technique that isolated and repeated musical breaks and repeated musical breaks. That technique would lay the foundation for a genre known as hip-hop. Hip-hop music emerged from house parties in the Bronx and spread like wildfire between friends and neighbors at block parties. The new sound was electrifying. In the schoolyard during recess, someone would have a boombox. And then someone would start rhyming. You didn't have recorded versions of hip hop at that time. Within a few years, it had become an underground cultural movement, and its distribution was homemade.
You couldn't purchase albums or records, and you couldn't hear hip hop on the radio. The only way that you could participate in the culture musically was through these cassette tapes, which would circulate all throughout the city.
As its influence deepened and broadened, the music spread from the underground onto the radio. In 1979, a group from suburban New Jersey released Rapper's Delight, one of the first hip-hop records.
Now what you hear is not a test, I'm rapping to the beat. And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try to make your feet.
And the Sugar Hill Gang's hit was just the beginning. As hip-hop evolved, it became a passion shared by millions of young Americans who used it to articulate their identity and their politics, creating a vibrant, multicultural community across the country.
Our generation of young people, we had to find new ways to communicate, just getting on the records and speaking about the truth.
Its lyrics reflected the social and economic conditions of the inner cities as seen through the eyes of the people who lived there.
Listen, so push me, call, close the edge, trying not to lose my head. Say what? It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
I think it was Chuck D who said, it's the CNN of the black community. It's actually reporting on all of these things that we've experienced in poetry form and musical form.
In 2017, hip-hop surpassed rock as America's #1 stream genre for the first time ever. Decades after its birth, hip-hop has grown from its underground origins in the Bronx to become one of the most popular genres of music throughout the world.
That's interesting.
So, what do you think about that, Professor LA?
Bits and pieces thrown together. I mean, part of it, some of it was true and accurate, some of it was not. What you call Ava DuVernay, it's funny they have her on there. She said, I think Chuck D, she wasn't sure, was the first to give political. Let's see, when you have people, they're going by, that's a Hollywood version of hip hop. Because, he said repeating. Well, there were other DJs before DJ Kool Herc who were doing that were black American. They weren't Jamaican, and he got that from them. And I'm glad it was true what they said about the actual first. Now we could say he gave the first hip hop block party, and then if they want to say, well, that's where it came, then of course. But they jumped that quick from 1979. We didn't hear nothing about 79, the early 80s. They jumped all the way up to 2017. And then not only that, they got the wrong person as the narrator, as the orator. Skip Hops, Skip Gates is not a hip hop head. Hip hop came out, I was in the like 8th, 9th grade and stuff. That man is 70 something, man. So I mean, come on. If people are in their 50s now, maybe early 60s, those were the MCs. We were young guys, younger, but A lot of the guys like Grandmaster Flash, he's probably in his mid 60s at the most. I'd say Chuck D, him, people like that. Curtis Blow might be closer to 70, but I'm just saying there should have been another academic voice um, given doing that what hip hop is and where it started. Maybe Michael Eric Dyson would have been more even though I'm not giving him cheerleader pom poms. I think he would have got more honest and more relevant and truthful perspective from a Michael Dyson as opposed to Huey Lewis Gates. Because it's almost like he's handpicked by some community as the voice for black people history on whatever it is. Do it on black gospel music. Huey Lewis Gates gonna be the host. I mean, we gotta stop this kind of foolishness, man. There are other voices that need to be heard, that have just as much information, that need to be shown and need to be told. And it doesn't always have to be somebody that other people have pulled and picked for us to be the representatives. And so that's the problem I have with that. But there were accurate accounts in there. I mean, I can't take that from what you showed in the clip. Was it all correct? No, not in my opinion. No.
Well, here's the thing about it. There were some comments about this. I'm gonna
Okay.
read just a couple of comments, see what you think. On that was called the birth of hip hop, where according to Skip Gates and whoever told him what to do on that. They said, this is not about. Oh, hold on. They said Herc created hip hop is like saying Christopher Columbus was the first to discover America, right? Uh,
Right.
they said that right, they're they talking crazy because a lot of the old heads that was there when it started said that Herc didn't even want to be identified as Jamaican because nobody was rocking with their music and style. And for the record, I guess you're talking about people gonna and one was talking about rapping. One was talking about rapping has been part of many African tribes for thousands of years. So what's your point on that, right?
hmm
So they
My
said rap.
point.
No, no, I was reading and someone said rapping has been part of many African tribes for thousands of years on that. Uh, they said even a couple more quick, even reggae origins are Black American. You may disagree with that. Agree. Say even reggae origins are Black American. It started from them trying to copy Black American doo wop, soul, R&B. Uh, reggae.
That's, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Go
keep
ahead.
going.
No, no. Oh, okay.
No, keep going.
Okay.
Keep
It
going.
says more. I wonder why you never heard Black Americans try to claim we created reggae, rock steady, dance hall. And you said another word, ska, toasting, Rastafarianism, which all were influenced by Black Americans. At least we have a legitimate claim to their culture. They have absolutely no claim to hip hop on that. And for the people saying that people from the Caribbean and etc. created it, riddle me this: why was it not created in those countries until after us? It's a good question.
Very good point.
Yeah. One last one. Y'all have no turntables and no sound systems that came from Jamaica. Y'all had no DJs that came from Jamaica. Those are the elements y'all leaving out on that. Now, one last one for real. I can remember this guy said I can remember my father, 100% Trinidadian, hated everything about hip hop, from the fat laces to the graffiti, break dancing. He hated it all, and he wasn't the only one. Like I said, I grew up with a lot of Trinidadians and Jamaican kids. In fact, I remember the gang fights between the Jamaicans and Black Americans at Andrew Jackson High School in the 80s. It's a very interesting point. So, what's your thought pattern on that? Those
Well,
comments.
someone's giving you their true factual opinion based on their experience. I agree with whoever that was. They were very accurate when they say I don't credit DJ Kool Herc as I created him as a person that gave the first hip hop block party that was using everything he was using and was influenced by when he was doing it was Black American. I mean, it had nothing to do with Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And like the dude said, I could see him not playing that down. You coming over here as, I'm Jamaican. No, man. A lot of the hip hop artists that were from their parents and grandparents were from Jamaica. They played all that down. They were trying to talk like Black Americans, dress like Black Americans, act like Black Americans, listen to music by Black Americans. They weren't embracing Jamaican culture, Busta Rhymes included. I mean, we have to be honest, man. I mean, when people talk like that, it's ridiculous. So Black America, as the brother pointed out, who wrote the comment, he was very accurate when he said that people in reggae was built on Black American music, Black people in the United States. Because if you go listen or you study, I don't know how familiar you are with Bob Marley. There's a book written by Timothy White called Catch a Fire,
Mm.
and it's about Bob Marley. It's one of the best books ever written on Bob Marley, probably the best that I've read. Anyway, he's very honest. But in the book, Bob Marley, when him, Peter Tosh, and Bunny Weller were doing Sky before they even hit reggae, all that was based around Black American music. I'm
Mm.
reading it. I mean, I'm looking at all the people they're listening to. Curtis Mayfield and the dude said doo wop. Yeah, they were listening to the Coasters, Platters. They grew up wanting to sound like that. They
Mm.
didn't have that over there. So I'm looking. If you listen to Bob Marley, did a song called One Love, One Heart, Let's Get Together. And that song was inspired and influenced by Curtis Mayfield. He has a Curtis Mayfield song called People Get Ready. There's a train a coming. You don't need no ticket. That song inspired Bob Marley to do One Love. And that's how it was. Because they built reggae off of the influence of jazz, rhythm and blues, doo-wop, soul. Because they had to have some inspiration to pull it from. They couldn't pull it from Jamaica. So they were pulling it from the United States, from black people. That's not to say that they didn't have their own style and sound and their own folklore within their own culture, but it's just saying we have to be honest. It's kind of like when the guy says, when you hear hip hop all over the world, it's after people come here, they get exposed to it from us in this country. It goes all over the world. So even if you're hearing somebody like Bad Bunny from Puerto Rico, he doesn't, he's come from Black America. And that Bad Bunny, who is uh, a Blanca or white Puerto Rican, can acknowledge that, then why can't other people? So it's that
Mm.
simple.
It seems that a lot of people from other places, they want to get the good parts of it, but they don't want to have the history of Black American, that type of Black pain on
Well,
that.
there's jealousy with that too.
Mm.
I have to say, I think there are other groups that are jealous or envious of black people, and they always have been. When I say envy, I think black Americans. Well, it's a complexity. It's complex because there's part of us, and we know we got problems, a lot of us, but there's a part of us that's always been shining, always been creative and innovative, and always cutting edge, and everybody copies that.
Mm.
It's just a fact, man. I mean, when Fela Kuti heard James Brown, that's when Fela Kuti took off, and he heard black jazz, African American jazz. He had all that brass, well, all those woodwind saxophone players, in his band, Africa '88, Africa '80, and all that. I mean, strong. You hear African traditional African Nigerian music being funkified with African American grooves in it. That's Fela Kuti, who was Nigerian. I want to say he was Igbo, or one
Mhm.
of my favorite musicians, but he doesn't deny that. The James Brown and other jazz artists he was listening to. So you can't leave us out the equation on anything, especially music. And someone may say, "Well, why do you say just music?" Well, we have to look at the things which we were allowed to access ourselves. White people had taken the drum and everything else. They took our African language, took our African cultures and rituals and all of that. So whatever we had inside is what we revealed. Like soul music is to reveal what's on the inside as opposed to conceal what's on the inside through music and song. That's soul music, rock and roll sung gospel style, because that's how we sung it. That's rock and roll sung gospel style would be soul. So everything, it's still black music. Hip hop is just a black music genre that has been permanently branded for young people.
Mm.
So,
It's interesting because there's also, like I said, some jealousy and some hatred, unfortunately, behind the scenes. But again, some people they want to jump on the hip hop bandwagon. We said, where's all these people out in the '70s? By the way, demographical number wise, but we're still going on in the '70s toward American blacks and prior to that. Just like this icon was talking.
Let us remember that we are not brutalized because we're Baptists. We're not brutalized because we're Methodists. We're not brutalized because we're Muslims. We're not brutalized because we're Catholics. We're brutalized because we are black people in America.
See, to me, that was very powerful on that. So, what's your thought on that part?
well, I mean, need I say more? I mean, it's Malcolm X.
Mm,
Always powerful. I mean, literally. I mean, it's interesting since you brought Malcolm up. I think it's important. There were a couple of groups that did songs that featured Malcolm X in hip hop.
mm-hmm.
There's a song called um, I have the group too. It's called Planet. The group is called Planet Youth. They did a song called Warriors Malcolm X. I still have that album, and
Mm,
I don't know anybody else that has that album but me.
mm-hmm.
It's a hip hop group. It Where is Malcolm X? It came out like I want to say right after the movie Spike Lee did in 1992. Right? It came out right around there somewhere. Great film, and I think Public Enemy, uh, Ice Cube, Sister Soldier, everybody's kind of had little dividends where you have Arrested Development, you have Malcolm. So Malcolm's on point. I mean, as usual, he's one of my mentors for life. I mean, the autobiography of Malcolm X, I recommend anyone, male or female, because if that book don't change your life, then I don't think any other book will. When people say to me a lot of times, what book would you say was the most impactful or the most influential book in your life, or what really made you more curious about knowledge and information? I said, Malcolm X.
Mm,
Some people say, oh, the most important. I'm not a Christian. So, but I respect Christian. I was raised a Christian, born a Christian, but I'm not a Christian. I don't practice that.
right.
But I respect them. But I tell people all the time, Malcolm X, the biography of Malcolm X, to me is, if that don't wake you up, then you dead. So
Right.
if you black, if that don't wake you up, then ain't nothing gonna wake you up. So I
Well,
highly recommend that book. But
I make that point is only I want to try to rush. I don't make that point because again, even what was going on then, where was all these different other cultures at, demographical wise? So it's like okay, they arrived here or some minuscule numbers already in the '70s. So it's like when this other part kicks in with the black American black talking about different things going on, the areas and then going into going into the hip hop stuff like that, they want that part, but they haven't had the experience as American blacks in this country.
well, no, and they wouldn't have the experience that American blacks had because they're different people coming with a different culture.
Mm-hmm.
But then some of them experience racism. Don't get me wrong. There are black people that came in from other countries after they've been there for about 5, 10 years, and
Mm-hmm.
people can't just tell, and they start sounding more American.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Pop goes racism. Then it
Mm,
becomes a rude awakening. So they can hear the accent. White people know how to pretend. They know how to. They study us pretty good. So when you get some people, they really start realizing that Black Americans are not paranoid. These people hate black people. And
mm,
I've heard people from Africa and people from Jamaica and other countries say that. So sometimes it just takes a while. But a lot of times, you gotta look if their grandparents came here, my mom and dad, grandparents, great uncles, or whatever. You gotta look a lot of times they were probably because they come from colonization, so their minds are messed up too, man. So it's like we all still one black people, but we were fragmented because of institutionalized racism and colonization. So
mm-hmm.
I mean, because I have friends that are Jamaican, I have friends that are Trinidadian, I have friends that are Native Africans, I have friends that are Afro Latino, and then we all black. So my
Mhm.
point is like, but I understand everybody's experience. So like
Mhm.
even with Cool Ray and Herc, if you want to say that, all the music he was playing was soul, R&B, and disco. That's another reason why it's black. It's black American, because all the music he was using, even when he did that block party in the South Bronx, it was still just African American black music.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
you either way you solve that puzzle, it's still going to lead back to us. But again, I want to say that to say that I don't play the fragmentism games of dividing black people up, because I think at the end of the day, black people, no matter where they from, they will get shown or they will become aware at some point that you are black. At least when you come in contact with a Western society, it's like our brothers and sisters that live in Europe. They've got rude awakenings like that. The ones in Asia, because they're gonna let you know you black. And some people might smile on the surface, like the Undisputed Truth had a song called in the '70s called "Smiling Faces."
Mhm.
Smiling faces. Sometimes they don't tell the truth. Well, a lot of time people will smile at black people because they see us as gullible or childlike and pretend to like us. And some of us think they like us. Some there are black people that are so naive that think that white people like they assume black people like black people just on the virtuality, just on the basis that some white people like Prince and Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston. So they assume that means that those white people like black people. They like that black entertainer. It has absolutely nothing to do with you.
Right.
So I mean, because we're childlike people for the most. A lot of us are childlike, very much child. Your children in a chronologically adult bodies.
Right.
So
Now, well, I make that point even in the music part because this thing with the 50 years and then crediting DJ Kool Herc because one of the things I'm looking at well that these particular articles where he's talking about was hip hop started in other places, and one of the things that they were asking is that did rap really come from? Watch it. Watch the wording. Did rap really come from Jamaica? And then the after effects of that, it said, well, probably. It said rap's roots lie in the jive infused toasting tradition of Jamaican live sound system shows on that.
okay, I have to disagree. I own a lot of reggae, and don't none of that shit sound. I'm not gonna say don't none of that stuff sound like rap, like hip
Mhm.
hop rap. Now they toasting like I'll give you an example. Rankin Roger was a master toaster. Rankin Roger, most black people, including Jamaicans, probably don't even know who the hell that is. Rankin Roger was a black dude that sung with a British. He was British, he was Afro British, but his roots were in Jamaica.
Mhm.
He died a couple of years ago. I really liked his music, but he sung with a group called the English Beat.
Mhm.
Uh, but when they were called the Beat in England, but when they came to America, they had to call them the English Beat, so there wouldn't be any confusion because there was another band called the Beat already. Anyway, he would do toasting vocals like us, Paja and Raja Ego Talk, Spar with Me. These are songs on the English Beat albums, and that don't sound like hip hop.
Mm.
Toasting is a form of vocals that you get. You can listen to Junior Mervin, you can listen to Augustus Pablo, you can listen to Peter Tosh, you can listen to Black Oruhu. You can, like I said, see with me on the music. You can't mess me with. I own reggae. I'm not a brother that's like, oh, them damn Jamaicans not a. No, I'm not. I own the music. I own
Mm.
music by Bunny Weller. I own music by the Wailers. I own Bob Marley collection. So I've been listening to it for a long time. And I'm gonna tell you that I don't hear hip hop in that. I hear toasting vocals, and
Mhm.
they be dubbing, but that's unique to reggae. Now, some people took reggae and dubbing styles and might have added to hip hop when they were DJing later on. That came in the scene,
Mhm.
like they have, like the guy, they Michael Potter, whatever, that created looping. Like people say, well, how they were saying how he started to repeat, how DJ Kool Herc started the repeating thing. Well, that was another guy that was like doing looping, and that went until 1996. He started looping the music, make it go around and around again. and it extended it. But prior to that, you had people that had disco versions of soul records and disco records back in the 70s and early 80s. The extended version, because people would be like, play the long version of Flashlight by Parliament, because the long version would break into the instrumental. It would be the vocal, and it would extend with the instrumental. Same thing with Funkadelic when they did One Nation Under Groove and Knee Deep. So, but could that have been pre-looping? Could it extended? But so I don't know. I guess I'm saying I don't see the argument of going back and forth of challenging brothers and sisters that are of Jamaica, because again, there could be another hand behind this, causing that too. The average Jamaican person probably won't even say that. They'll probably say that hip hop, that's American, it's, Black American. Those that. But then there's another ignorant side that might say, well, we did it. Well, why weren't you doing it over there? Because it would have
Mm.
had to already exist over there if you brought it over here. Otherwise, it didn't exist.
Right. But see, that's the logical sense. And then, so like you said, to go back, okay, discussion, that's fine. But again, going back and forth, I had to show it again. This is what I can, that's what I do again. I'm trying to get away from that back and forth conversation.
Well,
So,
we're gonna always have Shine. He gonna Shine gonna always be around.
always be around. So, wait, quick, Professor. So did DJ Cool Herc create rapping?
Hell no. I was thinking of Michael Peters. I think his name was Michael Peters, the guy who did the looping for
Okay.
us back in '96. You heard it in the house music too, and you heard
Okay.
it in other genres of black music. But
Mm-hmm.
no, DJ, no. In my opinion, no. My estimate, no.
Okay.
I would say he gave the first hip hop block party. I give him
Mm-hmm.
credit for that. I mean, he did that. But
Mm-hmm.
then you also got to remember, if you ask the average black person that was around, no matter what age, they could be elementary school age, junior high school age, or high school age, or older. If you ask them in 1973, 1974, 75, 76, 77, 78, what is hip hop, or have they heard of hip hop music? They're gonna say, hell no, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just being honest. In any other group, whether you ask the white person, the Asian, the Mexican, it doesn't matter. They're gonna say the same thing. What is that? Because at that time, the dominating music, I'll say it again, when you get into 73, 74, 75, up prior to 79, the music that America is engulfed with is basically R&B, soul, rock and roll, jazz, gospel, blues, and what they call pop, which
Mm-hmm.
any genre of music could be pop. All that meant is that it was popular. That's
Mm-hmm.
all it meant. Two white guys, I can't think of their names, they created that, pop. That just means pop. Ain't no such thing as pop music.
Mm-hmm.
Any music can be pop. That's how come if you have the pop charts,
Mm-hmm.
Eminem is a hip hop artist, but he can be on the pop charts. But then again, so can Outkast. But then again, so can Taylor Swift. But then again, so can Beyonce. All these people can be on the pop charts because there's no such thing as pop music.
Mm.
It's
Okay.
like the Backstreet Boys and all those white groups that came out that were imitating New Edition and the Jackson Fives.
Mm-hmm.
You had all the Backstreet Boys. What's the other one that was real popular? The ones they were from
New Kids on
Boston
the
or
Block.
whatever.
New Kids on the
New
Block.
Kid, that's it. Same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Is that pop or is that white boy singing R&B? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
We have
No.
to be honest about these things, man. I don't, and I play honestly. I don't play games.
Okay.
I play games if I choose to. Normally with my grandchildren, but it's like I choose to be honest, and I'm an adult, so I have to talk real. Oh, I don't want to seem radical. Oh, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. Well, I'm already labeled anyway. Dark skin
Right.
makes me a label, so why try to
Now,
dodge bullets? Oh, well, I don't want to seem too black. Well, I'm black. It's a
right.
given.
Now you said a name. You said Eminem, right?
Yeah, Eminem,
Let,
great
let, let, let
artist.
let me show you just while we were talking. When I sit there and saw this, can you see that?
Um, I guess it. and showed his. Yeah, I see him. I see Eminem's picture.
In
Yeah,
the back, in the back, in the right back.
the greatest
Or
rapper is that the greatest rapper of all time?
yes, sir. On
Okay,
that.
well, I understand why they say that. Now I
Okay.
understand that somebody white is putting that out. see,
Okay.
see, we have to call it like it is. If they're gonna be that bold and make that big of a lying statement, we have to
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, well, in white people's mind, it's no different than me saying Elvis Presley is the king of rock and roll. Well,
Mm-hmm.
in the white mind, in the white psyche, the way it's always been, uh, there's Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Fats Domino, all these people way more talented than Elvis Presley. Sam Cooke, Elvis Presley can sing like Sam Cooke. But because we live in a racist white society and system, if a
Mm-hmm.
white boy starts, or a white male, white man, whatever you want to call it, starts
Mm-hmm.
doing black music, and it's been proven time and time again, he gets crowned the king. He's the king. He's colonized the music and given it the instrumentation of the proper grooming that it needed from a white person, and now it's acceptable to the masses of white people. When the whole time the whole thing is based on just race, because you white, you right. So that's bullshit. Eminem is a top five MC, but he's not the greatest of all time. You can never be the greatest if you didn't invent it or if you did not create something unique about it. Now he had his own style, his own sound, and he stood out because he was white. Now if they say he's the greatest white rapper in hip hop history, I would say that, yeah, hands down. But to say the greatest, you disrespect too many people. And he is
Mm-hmm.
borrowed from a lot of people. He even acknowledges his other black people as all his influences. So how
Mm-hmm.
can that be? But again, the white people that own the magazines and print the stuff and fund the stuff, they're gonna always put their own stuff on there. I mean, and rightfully so. Self-preservation is very important. I think most people understand it except black people. So
Mm-hmm.
people gonna push their own kind regardless. And so they'll tell not a little white lie, a big white lie, and say the greatest of all time. And then if a white person comes back and says, "Well, we talking about record sales," well, damn, white people gonna get more marketing. They're gonna market
Mm-hmm.
white people. They marketed Elvis Presley to the world when they weren't doing that with Chuck Berry. I mean, come on now. I mean, we have to be honest. So you telling me racism or systemic racism and race records and all these things you all created to block black people and stop black people. You don't think that functions in or factors into the music and how it's communicated and put across the masses? Come on now, we have to be. We're more intelligent than this. Okay, even when you go back to the jazz era. Well, there are people that say uh, there was a guy named Paul Whiteman, white man, that did jazz, copied blacks, and did an album called The King of Swing or the King of Jazz. He did made the album King of Jazz, and then they named some people Benny Goodman would give more props than Earl Father Hines or Duke Ellington, which was also an insult. Uh, these things white people have always done. The white people that are in control and they run the system have always done this. It's just a fact, and they will continue to do it. There's no difference than like Christian McCaffrey, 49ers running back. He's a good running back for a white guy. We've had so many black guys that good till it don't even matter. It's been you know. So I mean, those are the games that those people play. Certain
All right.
white people play.
All right. So
You
let me
know.
ask you. So is the Sugar Hill Gang? So the Rappers Delight is that the first record, the first hip hop record?
No, sir. The first hip hop record to my collection, in my collection, or to my recollection in my mind, is King Tim the Third, Personality Jack by the Fatback Band, which was a funk and R&B group. They
Mm-hmm.
brought in a Personality Jack from, I guess he was radio. His name was Tim Washington, and he
Mm-hmm.
rapped on this song that predated Sugar Hill Gang by at least I don't know weeks or months. So
Mm-hmm.
they're the first hip hop record is a Fatback Band, and then but Sugar Hill Gang was the first popular. Now, if you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna talk about popular hip hop that put hip hop on the map, I would say yes, it was Sugar Hill Gang. Now, to even enhance the flavor, because uh, to make it even more commercial, what really made it commercial though, but made it cross what people call crossover. I think was when Blondie, Deborah Harry Blondie, the group Blondie, the punk rock new wave band, when they did Rapture,
Mm-hmm.
because that introduced it to a lot of white people. You know, black
Mm.
people thought that was cool. Those of us that were listening to punk rock and new wave, those of us that were kind of diverse in what we listened to. You know, not all black people listen to rock, R&B, jazz, funk, and hip hop and blues. I mean, we listen to various genres of music, country, rock, metal. You know, depending
Mm-hmm.
on who we are, it depends on the individual. But when Blondie, when they did Rapture in 80 or 81, that was a big hit. And
Mm-hmm.
but Blondie, I give them credit because when Chris Stan wrote the song, he was a guitarist for Blondie. He made sure he included people that were in hip hop. Five Fred is on everybody's side. DJ Son said, "My mind, Flash is bad, Flash is cool." I mean, that was cool because really it was a white punk new wave band paying tribute to early hip hop, Grandmaster Flash and Five Freddy, and it was funny because Blondie was so stoic. She was like trying to rap was so funny. It was boring, but it was funny. It was cool. The music was jamming. So, you know, but Sugar Hill Gang was definitely most popular. And Blondie was, would say, pushed it to a broader. It gave it a broader scope. It made it white people really made white people and other people that did listen to black music curious about this hip hop thing that was taking off. So I give them credit too. And I even before Blondie, the first white artist to even do a hip hop record was The Clash, which was a punk rock new wave band. Again, they
Mm-hmm.
did a song called Magnificent Seven. That was the first hip hop record done by a white person. But in terms of us, it was Fatback Band, Sugar Hill Gang, and so on, Curtis Blow, and so on. So,
Okay. Well, let me ask you. Well, if we might go back right quick to when you enlighten us on the when I asked a question related to the article about did rap really come from Jamaica, and
okay,
then this other one was talking about how hip hop was born in New York City,
okay.
but its roots are in the Caribbean. On that,
That's a misnomer. No,
okay.
no.
Mm-hmm.
If his roots were in the Caribbean, then they would have stayed in there. They would have stayed over there.
Mm.
In
Mm-hmm.
other words, when hip hop started here, as we know it, we would have been hearing it coming out the same year from over there, as we know it. See,
Mm-hmm.
you see how it just destroyed that myth.
Right. Okay. 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 But let's go with that for a second. Okay. He said,
Okay.
okay. Well, Professor, yeah. Okay. He kind of got us on that one. But then another person now says hip hop history. Now this is from some parentheses professor as well, right?
Yay.
This
Okay.
from some college that's not even worth even talking about. Uh, he talks about how in his class, hip hop history and culture, this professor charts the trajectory of the musical genre from its roots in the African diaspora to Carter B. On that,
Okay.
what's your thought on that? Then,
Oh, I think that's fair because it doesn't say exactly where he started. Now, if he's going back and say, well, before they were Black Americans, they were Africans, then naturally we're going to end up in Africa. I get that, and I
mm-hmm,
understand how a professor would play that intellectual game or
mm,
that intellectual subversive game over a lot of people that are laymen that are not well read and haven't studied.
mm-hmm,
See, that's a catch-all kind of thing. If I
mm-hmm,
just say, well, yeah, all black people at the end of the day, the roots, the origins out here starts in Africa, and then I can make all kind of claims. Yeah, that's true. But I would say to that, even though we all I'm African, I mean, anybody black to me, even if they say they're not, they're African. If you black and you you part of the diaspora, you African descent, you still African. You might not be native African. As I told other black Americans, you're not native African, but you still African, whether you want to face it or not.
right. Now, were you saying
I
so?
say a white person that's German, that's
Mm-hmm,
been in America for 5, 6, 4 generations, he'll
Mm-hmm.
never argue with me when I say, "You're still German." Skolzberg or Schultz, Ralph Schultz.
Mm-hmm.
He'll never, because he understands that. He'll laugh and say, "Yeah, but I can't speak the language anymore." He might say something like that, but he's gonna
Right.
acknowledge his pedigree. He's proud of that. He doesn't care. He
Right.
still know he's German, or same
Yeah.
thing with an Italian. So I think black people, because the experience we've undergone, we got a lot of shackles and chains still on our brains.
Right.
But that professor there, technically, he's right. If he's
Let,
coming from that, it depends on what perspective he's coming from.
okay. That's why I'm trying to elaborate more. He said they said ask him a question in your class. You trace in your class. You trace the roots of. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, let
I
me
hear
see.
you.
In your class, you trace the roots of hip hop back to the. Oh, my bad. Excuse me, I said that out. Hip. Okay, let me read that. In your class, you trace the roots of hip hop back to the African diaspora, hundreds of years ago, right?
Okay.
But then they say hip hop is the product of a long history dating back to West Africa and the transatlantic slave trade.
Well, I just said that. I
Right, but
just
you
said
said,
that.
but he went back and said specifically back to West Africa on that.
Yeah, that's what most of the black people that live in the
No,
United
hip hop.
States.
Now he was saying that's where the roots of hip hop began back
Well, if
on
the
that.
people, all he's saying technically is that if most of the people, if 90% or 80% of the people in the United States that are classified as black come
Mm-hmm,
from West Africa, then that means that if indirectly,
mm-hmm,
that means that hip hop had to have its roots there, even though it wouldn't have been hip hop. That's just like I could say rock and roll, blues. If I take that route, we're talking about our great grandparents that just came over as shackled that could barely speak English, that had their own languages. That we're talking about them. Yeah, of course. Because they were Native
right.
Africans, and they were Native Africans, but we were still Africans. Because the thing I often ask black people when they say, "Well, I'm not African," I say, "Well, tell me what year, what day, what time you stopped being African." I say, "Do you agree that your great grandparents were Africans?" They say, "Yeah." I say, "Okay." I said, "So they got out of slavery 1865, whatever." Okay, tell me what year they stopped being Africans. No one's been able to tell me that, black or white.
Well,
No one's been able to qualify that when I ask, because I'm gonna blast that ass. When you come to me with
well,
foolishness, I'm gonna put you on. Show me,
I think.
show me where these people that were Africans stopped being Africans. Now we became Africans in America or African United States or African diaspora people, whatever. All that's come lately. But
Right.
we were Africans to begin with. Ain't no other way around it. So if he's talking about from the origins, like you talk about griots, how you had
Mm-hmm,
storytellers, people were they were more orators. They didn't write down anything. They just passed on the stories, and that's how we lost a lot of stuff because they weren't documenting. So stories got passed on by great such and such great great uncle, great great grandma, great great aunt. Stuff got passed on,
mm-hmm.
and then you see that generation, and sooner or later it stopped getting passed on because people stopped doing it or they stopped passing it on. So from that perspective, yeah. Yeah,
I
yeah,
think.
the origins of it of Africa. I mean, the origins of jazz, the origins of R&B, anything that comes from the African American, that's a Black American, our
Yeah,
progeny is Africa. Shit, whether we acknowledge that or not is a different thing. But
yeah,
our roots, we're African descent, bar
yeah,
none. A Cabulonian descent, if
right.
or if whatever word we want to use, because the
Well,
people in Africa didn't even call themselves African. They call themselves by the name of I'm a Fulani. By their nations. They didn't call themselves that. So I mean, whatever. We know those black people. We just put like that. Are those people of the
I
sun
think.
gods?
Right. I think that where there's certain types of American blacks have the problem, we're saying, okay, but the problem is, or they're thinking, okay, we can do it's one that's saying, okay, the African diaspora, etc. But it's the music part, since we were talking about the hip hop, that it's like when people try to play, kind of the different kind of sides of, knowing that actually the sound per se of within American hip hop is not of African origins on that. So let me play
Well,
something for you.
but it's not going to be. You're talking
Right,
about over 100 and some years. Be
right.
you're talking
And I
centuries.
think and I think that's the point that some will be looking at. It's like, well, no, you can't be scooting around a little bit. But let me play something from this particular African sister. And I think you've seen this
Well,
before, but this is a dynamic and something on that. Give me one
okay.
second.
Opinion,
Yeah.
but like Afro beats is no longer Afro beats. I'm not saying it's trash, but if you actually deep it, the Afro part is missing. It's just beats. The moment America found out about Afro beats, when I saw Ed Sheeran jump onto Peru, I was like, you know what? It's okay because it's Ed Sheeran. Who doesn't love that ginger? Everybody loves that ginger man. So it was okay. And then Selena happened, and they gave her a reward for Afro beats. Even the music videos that they make nowadays, they don't really feel Afrobeatish at all. I really liked when Don Jazzy was in charge of all the artists. They need to give him power and control again because I don't know what's happening.
Okay. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I saw
See,
the clip.
yeah, I make that point because she's looking at a dynamic that some numbers of American blacks look and say, wait a minute now for a second, but it's not there this American which is very generic because it's not American blacks that are doing that. But she specifically was talking about how it doesn't sound basically a lot more African than what other people in America pick that stuff up. So I think a lot of
She,
American blacks. Go ahead.
no, but she was specific. She said Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran
Right.
is a white man.
What she
That had
said,
nothing to do with.
American.
She's talking about American white man.
Right,
Ed
but that's
Sheeran is a white man. She didn't say black because most blacks over here do not listen to nor do they do Afro beats. Afro beats is a music that was popularized and created by Fela Kuti of Nigeria, who I said is one of my favorite artists. That's
mm-hmm,
something he created. Now, there's a younger generation of native Africans who have taken his music, taken his lead, and they sell it like crazy. Their music's popular all over the world too,
mm-hmm,
and some of it has a hip hop influence, some of it, but a lot of it still is very African. You hear that it's very African,
mm-hmm,
and depending on what region of Africa you're from. But the father of Afrobeats is Fela Kuti, and
mm-hmm.
all she was saying, she has a right to make that statement because she's Native African and she
Right.
knows how true Afrobeat music sounds, and she's talking about Ed Sheeran. And we can't put a white man with us, man. If she's singling him out like that, she said Ed
Well, she said
Sheeran.
Selena. She said Selena too as well.
Selena's not the. I don't think she's talking about the Mexican Selena that's passed on. There's obviously a Selena lady that's out that, and I don't know who that is, but I know she ain't talking about her.
Well, I guess my thing about
Selena
it is
didn't play no Afro beats. So Selena played
right,
disco
right. I
and Tejano music. She's not talking
right.
about Selena Quintanilla from
Yeah.
that was from El Paso or whatever.
Right. Right.
Chris,
Yeah.
Corpus Christi. She's not talking about that Selena.
Right. But we know she's talking about non-American black. But I understand where she's coming from. But I guess what I'm saying is that I can understand from the American blacks that are saying do not sit there and try to associate origins of Africa, which is not obviously that part because it wasn't in Africa on that. Even though, like you're saying, well, that was however many hundreds of years ago. But then some, as I said earlier, wait, what was that thing I read you that when it was talking about Africa, where you've had many people have said, that Africa had its roots in Africa. Again, it dilutes the specifically American black person in there, and then you have all these different cultures taking a bite out of stuff. But let me play this from this particular gentleman who you know very well. That also kind of sums up some different things related to the hip hop part of that. Some numbers of American blacks do get a little tired of people not giving the credit of where it should be. Give me 1 second. You know who I'm talking about, but they put some things in perspective. Give me 1 second. Okay.
Okay.
This is the
50th anniversary of hip hop, and we still have a lot of discrepancies as far as the origins of hip hop, a lot of claims, who did what, who was the first this, who was the this and that, and such and such. But at the end of the day, we need a definitive story, all right? And that story can only be told by the founders of this culture.
Like everything was being driven and influenced by young black American culture, like the slang, the style of dress, the initial music that we chose.
Look at all the boroughs. You got, money making Manhattan and money earning Mount Vernon and Crooklyn. The Bronx was the boogie down Bronx. We was partying up there.
I am Coke LaRock, the first MC of hip hop. First cat to pick the mic up.
I introduced rapping to the turntable because when I came with it, nobody in the world was doing it. I'm right after Rudy Ray Moore.
They want to come in the mix. They want to say, we started. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. What came to be known as hip hop was solely an African American creation.
What would you get out of some Jamaican toast? What is that? I've never heard of a rapper use a Jamaican toast or a Jamaican flute as a rhyme. I've never heard of it, and I don't know where that myth came from.
My name is legendary King Trixie from the Bronx, BX from the West Side. I am the first breakdancer.
That narrative that hip-hop has had three founding fathers, that's been rolling for the last almost 30 years, which isn't true. You don't have just three people who created hip-hop. Hip-hop was created by a number of different people.
I am the grandfather, the godfather of the graffiti culture. I am the first element of hip-hop.
The roots of hip hop being Jamaican is absolutely false.
My name is MC Shara. I am a founding member of the MC/rap culture.
Cassette tapes was the internet of our time. It just traveled around by hand.
But I know for a fact that the B-Boy stand started from the odds. 5%ers that would be at the jams back in the days who were acting as security.
If they get the real truth of how it all was created, then so many lies would not be able to be in existence.
Your thought pattern?
Well, it was accurate. I noticed some Tyreek Nasheed stuff, but it was accurate because I've said everything they were saying. I've already said throughout your interview. I mean, and when Shyrock, the sister said what she said, she was with a group called Funky 4 Plus One More. I remember them. I got their album. So I mean, they just said what I'm already saying. Period. So it's accurate. That's accurate right there. And I already said that what you call might have gave the first block party, DJ Block Party, Cool DJ Cool Hurt. I acknowledge that. That's all. But all them other guys, they were around there even before him. What is that? That was MC Calf that I saw on there, who was also is attributed, or they say that Big Bag Hank that was with Shaquille Gang used some of MC or DJ MC Calf's lyrics. Now that's what's been said. Now MC Calf, I don't have his records. He went on the scene when I was, he might have been with somebody for a little while, but Kumo D, people like that were, but I've heard this people go to this guy like he was around, and I think him and Cool J heard people acknowledged them in New York, and I say that people just get them props because they say, okay, well these guys are the father. It was not no one person anyway. That's ridiculous. It started from the black people in America. It grew up just like all our genres grew up. Soul started with black people, rock and roll, funk, blues, country. Everything, it started within the black community. All our music started like that.
Right.
So there's nothing different. It's just the same thing.
Well, relating
not only that, and I think it's very important to say, hip hop was built on the back of R&B and disco. So technically, people that do R&B and disco say, "Shit, that's our music. Y'all bar sampling our music, and listen to us."
Well,
so
see,
they can make an argument too. They said, "No, hip hop started with us. Y'all use James Brown sound. Come on, man. Y'all didn't create nothing." I mean,
Where it
then
goes.
I could bring in the Last Poets and Gil Scott Heron, and you could bring in other people that were doing the Jubileers, and you could bring in people like Louis Jordan. I mean, but
Well,
those are all African Americans.
what
So
where you bring in something, what you just say, you said some people in there that the the formal part, right? Because I know this always talking about 50-year anniversary, 50-year anniversary, and it kind of stops there. A formal part, but many times they don't go back before, as far as the prototype or the progenitors or whatever it is that informally was hip hop. Uh,
no, but you don't have to go back to Africa.
no, no, not no. I'm not talking about Africa. I'm not talking about Africa. But like this gentleman that you know of very well too. But for the people who may not know on that goes back before 1970s. That's what we think rapping is. Is that rapping?
Here come the judge. Here come the judge. Pit
So
me, Markham. Here come the judge.
now that was
Uh,
1960s. Now that was
yeah,
obviously
yeah,
before the
yeah. I mean,
70s.
if we look at that, that's hip. That's rap. He's rapping. That can't be disputed. He's rapping, and the beat was funky. So I mean, he's in my book. I mentioned him in my hip hop book. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not hip hop. But he is rapping. That
Okay.
element of hip hop known as rapping, he is giving you the prototype. That's it right there.
Okay. Now there's another
You
one.
go.
Okay,
Okay,
go ahead.
I'll go. Okay, now,
There's another one to
okay.
give you, show you on
Is it
this one.
older? Is it older?
It's older. It is older
Okay.
on
Okay.
that. 1 second here. Uh, 1 second. Here we go. Where is it? Right here.
Good morning, brother Pilgrim. Pray tell me where you're bound. Pray tell me where you're traveling to all this enchanted ground. My name is Old Pilgrim. To Canaan I am bound. To Canaan I am a traveling to all this enchanted ground. That morning sun said about love Jericho, Jericho, Jericho. Sun said about love Jericho, and walked up and down. You may talk about the man of Gideon. You may talk about old King Saul. But that's not like good old Joshua. He had the battle of Jericho. Up through the walls of Jericho, he marched spear in hand. Go blow the ram horn, Joshua cried, on the battle left in my hand. Oh, the lamb raps voice began to blow, the trumpets began to sound. Oh, Joshua commanded the people to shout. Oh, from the mountain down that morning, Joshua the battle of Jericho, 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 Jericho.
What's your thought on that? It was called the
That,
Delta.
that's not really rapping to me. They were
That's
just
not
talking fast. Yeah.
okay.
It's syncopation. Now, if you had played the Jubilaires,
Right.
that they rapping.
So that voice, because to me, sound like the way those lips were moving, the way they were flowing, because they were the Delta Rhythm Boys, and so it was
Yeah.
called Jericho. But the way that those lyrics are moving, it's just like the Jubileers. To me, it's almost like a similar, and that was this was 1950s on that.
Yeah, but the Jubilaires who were around from 1935 or something to 1930, they were kind of like harmony singers, and
Mm-hmm.
they did a song called Noah, which
Right.
was to me that's more. If I hear how he's rapping or how he's saying, that's more rap. That's it. People still do that. People have always done what you just showed me. That
Mm-hmm.
might have elements, but that Pygmy Markham and the Jubileers and Louis Jordan, that's more. I think you could see more relationship or more correlation with hip hop with those artists. Those guys were talking fast. I mean, you could call it, but that I could tell the difference between that and somebody rapping. Like when you put Pygmy Markham on, he was rapping.
Mm-hmm.
His syncopation was just. It was more. I don't know. It was more His rhythms was more syncopated, and the way he
Mhm.
flowed, it was funny, and it had more of a hip hop connotation
Well,
than that. That was though Jericho, Jericho. He used to sing like that at my mom's church.
right.
I
But
mean,
you
when
see, you see the lips of that. But I want to ask you about but that hip hop, it's like those segments. That's where it's to me is still the confusion. Now, let me just show you this video right here. I know you've kind of seen it before, but it has some funny parts in here too, where you have other people that are copying it and use their way, but a lot of time we don't see this. Uh,
Hey, I'm Dina. Look at my feet. My feet are straight ahead. You don't want to do that. You want to turn your feet out. I'm going to do this backwards. And that's what makes it look like hip hop. Welcome to hip hop dance class with Shelly. See the way I'm walking with one of my arms lower than the other and my foot dragging? Well, that's hip hop. I went to this club, right? And they had no baggy pants and no sneakers. That was wild. I didn't know what to think about that. The other day I was in the grocery store buying some light bulbs and ice cream, and I could tell the cashier didn't like my baggy pants. But I didn't care, because that's hip-hop. The more relaxed you are, that's what makes it hip-hop. I bet you normally sit on a chair the front way, like everyone else. But not in this class. In this class, you turn that chair around and sit on it backwards. You know why? Because that's hip-hop.
so it was
oh,
it was it was
that's just why people making fun of hip hop and what it's become. I mean,
right
because
what is
it has become a joke. I mean,
right. It has
we have to be honest. I mean, the type of I know who they talking about, what type of rap, hip hop they talking about.
right
That ain't the hip hop that I listen to, but I know who they talking about.
right
So I
but
mean, yeah, but they've always made fun. So I mean,
right
it's just some cartoons making fun. They acknowledge it. I
but
mean,
but the woman in there, you see,
but
the
what
one,
about her?
that was at the time. I think it was the 90s. I think she made that. But then let me just play something else about some with that, and it's almost like again, it's insulting, but like you said, it's kind of making fun on this. Give me a second here. This is the same woman. Hold on, let me be quiet. This, if you hear the words what this guy says about this woman, just hear the words at the beginning part, right quick. She's the queen of hip hop. And this is the same one a few years later. Same woman. Look at the baggy
Well,
pants.
well, you gotta look at our audience. Who you most see it in the audience?
Mm-hmm. But look, the
You
pants
gotta look at our
baggy,
audience.
big shirt.
Yeah, yeah, that's hip hop style.
Mm-hmm. So, but I stopped there because you see the.
I'm not offended by it. I'm not offended by
No,
that.
I'm
Well,
not either. But it's just
I
funny.
look at our audience too. I mean, our audience is mostly Anglo Americans, so
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
not. I mean, that's hey, and you got a big black guy calling her that the queen. Hey, that endorses it more. They know how to use us, and when we agree to play the part. So I'm not. It doesn't offend me.
right.
Business as usual. That's business as usual to me. That's
Right.
what that was. Business as usual. You pay me, I say you the king and the queen too. Shit.
Now, I make that point. Now, this is a younger sister. I want to say in her 20s. Now, it was an interesting point because on this particular video, we only have a couple more videos left. I know your time. It was just interesting when I took a look at
Good.
this. When I
Hmm.
took a look at this, I'm going to get your point is because it sounded like this particular sister. It looks like she might be in her early 20s, where it's like she was. I'm not gonna play the whole video. It's like several. Well, anyway, it was a little bit longer. I'm going to play a small clip it, but it's like at the beginning part, she was talking about how well, it sounded like it was good. Oh yeah, colonization of music, rock music, it was basically colonized by whites, and okay, sound real good. But then, but then her some naiveness start coming up, and she was relating to some stuff about rap or hip hop. I want to get your thoughts on this. It's interesting. It really is. On that, there's some confusion that's still been happening in a lot of 20s and the older too. But this is interesting. I want to get your thought, Pat. Give me 1 second. It caught my attention. That's yesterday. I saw this. Let me, where is this sister at here? Okay, here we go.
So it's really nothing new. But what really gets on my nerves is the fact that when white kids interact with black art, it's oftentimes met with disrespect. It would be one thing if they, listen to the music, they respect it, and they understand where it comes from and appreciate the people who make it, but that's really not the case a lot of the time. I think a perfect example of this is the reaction to Rico Nasty when she was opening for Playboy Cardi like the other week. And to me, that's just completely mind blowing and nonsensical because it's Rico Nasty. Like, if I saw Rico Nasty, bitch, I'd be losing my mind. Imagine booing Rico Nasty off the stage. Like, that is truly clown behavior, and y'all should be embarrassed of yourselves. And I would be embarrassed as Playboy Cardi because if I have my opener come out and my fan base is booing them off the stage, what the f does that say about me and the kind of people I attract to my music? Like, obviously, Playboy Cardi makes great music, but I would really be like reconsidering, like, okay, who am I making music for if these are the kinds of people who show up to my concerts? Like, that's just, ugh, that's embarrassing. And I'm so sorry to Rico Nasty. And it's not even just like white people mistreating black artists. This is also misogyny. Like, because hip hop is so male dominated, of course, a bunch of ignorant white boys who just listen to Cardi to turn up, they don't understand one, how important and how talented Rico Nasty is, but also how disrespectful it is to do something like that for some reason because they have no home training, and how like stupid it makes them look. Like, how dare you? The misogyny in hip hop is real. That's not something that we don't know. I mean, I think what makes the white hip hop head combination so lethal is the fact that there is not only like racism but also misogyny mixed in there because black
Mhm.
female rappers already get disrespect from other black men within the hip hop world, and then when you put a bunch of white boys in the room, it's even worse.
What's your thoughts?
It's pretty. She's pretty accurate. She's speaking from a young black female perspective. I get what she's saying. I mean, I understand that. As a man, I see very well what she's saying. No, I don't listen to. I don't even know who the hell Rico Nasty is. I ain't never heard of
What,
that.
okay, that's why I'm going with you were saying on that. Now I know we was talking about the other person, the Caucasian woman and all that stuff right there, that little situation. But it's interesting because I like who is he talking about? Rico Nasty and Playboy Cardi and I'm like whatever on that. So I'm looking at some of the people, the Playboy Cardi. I mean, I play excuse me, the Rico Nasty. Well, she's part Puerto Rican, part black. How that's supposed to mean?
That's
Because look
black.
at her.
That's black.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying, yeah, I know, but the game on that. But I'm saying some of the songs, I'm like, wait a minute, because remember the chorus of the sister, Misery, right? Which is
Misogyny.
with some nonsense because she started switching around and stuff like talking about white boys this and I got all that, and then bad black males, and hip hop doing all this kind of stuff to victims, women and stuff like that. I got all that ignorance, but it's funny because when I was listening, not listened to or looked at some of the titles of the Rico, and he called yourself Rico Nasty, and so the sister goes right past that part. Like some of the songs I think was called like "Shut the," you know what, and like smack a bit, smack a bit, right? And
Smack a
I'm
bit.
yeah, smack a bitch.
Okay.
That was some of the songs that Rico Nasty was talking about, but the sister in that mindset was acting as if she bypassed that part and went over to my misogyny and male dominated. That's a white feminism talk. But
But
again,
she wasn't talking about the songs though. She was talking about the artists in the
right?
audience.
But she that's minimization what she did because but she never that's no accountability for the women like when you hear WAP and stuff like that and all this other stuff over there. She says nothing about the accountability to that part, but she goes there to stick strictly talking about male dominated route, white boys doing this, white boys doing that. But when over here, the other part is like, oh well, I don't see what the sisters doing over here with the wild part, or with the Rico Nasty and all kind of with the shut the f up songs, and smack a whatever song. It's like she bypassed that, and she says the white feminist terminology. But it's hilarious to me that there's no accountability. That's all to me what I gathered when I looked at it on that. So it's like misogyny, white boys bad, white boys do this. But when some of the sisters or whoever else of different cultures or American black, I'm talking about the ones that have done this and use the BITCHs or the N words, a sister like this will act like they really don't see that as a problem. It's hilarious. To me, it is. You might think different on that.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. Because I don't. Well, I just see that's a young person. She's very young. She would. I would be talking above her head if I tried. She'd have to read. I would just have to tell somebody that
What?
she had to start. I would just tell her to read some Dolores P. Aldrich,
Okay.
some Francis Chris Wilson. I would advise a young person like that to just read because
That part what you said.
she
Yeah.
needs to read. I mean, and I would say I understand where she's coming from,
Right. Right. Right.
some of her perspective, but she understands that misogyny derives from white male dominance. Black
Okay.
males learn misogyny from white males. And somebody might say, well, why do you say that? Well, shit, because they've always been our role models. Just like white women have always been the role models of black women.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's people can get mad and say what they want. It's just the truth. What did
Okay.
we get of the wearing of hairstyles? Whose
Mm.
hairstyles were our women? What did black men get trophy wife ideal from, or trying to dress in certain suits? We sure in the hell wasn't making the suits. So whose suits? Brooke Brothers. With no African names on them. So I'm like,
Mm.
they've always been our role models anyway. But I understand what the young sister was saying.
Right.
I mean, from her perspective, I get most of it. And she said you mixing misogyny with racism. Well, that's always existed. I
Mm.
mean,
Mm-hmm.
because a black woman was misogynized, plus she was a victim of racism. That's
Mm-hmm.
historical. That
Mm-hmm.
can't be denied. People can deny, but they're simply doing that. They're denying.
Mm-hmm.
That's just reality. So,
Okay.
I mean, honestly, and then she's talking from that girl's probably in her 20s.
Well, that's
I,
what I was saying. So, right, that's what I was
I
saying.
mean, we speak from two different worlds. So,
Okay.
but
Uh,
it was an interesting excerpt.
yeah, it was okay. One, just a couple of things. Like I said, I respect your time.
Yeah, we
Uh,
good. We
a,
good, man. I'm on
a couple,
break. School's out. Shit, I'm good.
a couple of things. Some of the there's two different lists. I want to get your thought pattern of the top. Let me see. Oh, I lost it here. The top. Oh, the fit according to this particular one, the 50 greatest rappers of all time.
Okay.
I'm gonna get your. Well, I'm just gonna do the top 10 because obviously I want to.
According to who?
This is according to Billboard. Uh, Billboard, the greatest of all time. Billboard. Okay, the Billboard and Billboard and Bob. You hear me?
According to Billboard. Okay. See, when I
Billboard.
ask you that, that lets me know because I
Well,
know who runs that.
well, two different ones I'm gonna give you, but it says Billboard and Vibe are counting down the best MCs ever in honor. And no, remember, remember we doing on this topic on the podcast. All right, about hip hop's 50th anniversary, right?
Okay.
So Billboard and Vibe are counting down the best MCs ever in honor of hip
According to
hop's
them.
50th, according to them. Again, I'm gonna waste your time with even half of that stuff.
No, go
But
ahead, go ahead, brother. It's all good.
well, top 10. I go top 10 or top 20. Which one
Top
you
20
look?
is good. You can go top
Uh,
20, top 30.
okay. The top 20 because it's two different ones. On that, two different people. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the one I'm right now. This is one of them. But top 20. Big Daddy Kane is number 20.
Okay.
19 is Missy Elliott.
Okay.
you like that one. 18 is Ice Cube.
Missy Elliott is that close to Ice Cube?
Oh yeah, yeah. 19 Missy Elliott, 18 Ice Cube. 17
Wow.
50
Okay.
17 50 cents.
50 Cent is top 20.
According to them, uh,
Okay.
16 is Scarface. I can't. Can you hear me, brother?
Scarface is 16.
16 is Scarface.
Damn. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
15 is J. Cole.
Okay.
I know you like that list.
Okay.
14 is LL Cool J.
Okay.
Now, for half a second, right quick, it was funny. We were talking about the Caribbean part. I was reading somehow some people were claiming that his grandfather, grandmother, something was some kind of Caribbean person too. They was trying to claim that for the Caribbean part.
No, he's African American, man.
No, no,
100%.
no, his grandmother, grandfather, according to them,
But
Caribbean.
he's
So they,
not. But he's not.
yeah, but it was funny. That's half a second. They try to claim that part right there for a second. It was just kind of hilarious on that. So so
So
so
all
boy,
these so-called Caribbean Negroes were around here in the 60s and 50s with all these African Americans. That's some bullshit.
it's
Anyway,
funny.
go
Okay,
ahead, man.
okay. So
It's funny.
15 J Cole, 14 LL Cool J, 13 Rakim.
They got him listed that high.
Yeah,
He
13
should. I
Rakim.
mean, he should be at the top. I mean, somewhere. They
Okay,
got
well I
him
got
at 13.
13. Now remember, it's two different lists I'm talking about. I don't the Billboard with Vibe. That's one list, together, but it's another one I'm gonna give you in a second. So 13 is Rakim. 12 is Andre 3000.
Wow. Okay. Okay. He's good.
11 is Kanye West.
Here, the Andre 3000.
Yes, sir. According to this list.
Okay.
Okay, this one's a good one. 10, Nicki Minaj is above the other ones, right?
Okay.
So Nicki Minaj is above Rakim. Big Daddy Kane. You put that in perspective. Nicki Minaj. 9. This is a good one. 9 is Snoop Dogg. 8 is Drake.
Oh, yeah, some white people did this. Keep going.
7 is Lil Wayne. You like that one up? 6 is the Notorious B.I.G.
Okay.
5 is Eminem.
5 is Eminem.
5 is Eminem, according to this list.
I would give him top 5.
4,
I can see that.
4 is Tupac.
Okay.
You agree with that? Top 5, Tupac?
Nope, not at all.
Oh.
I don't agree with that at all.
Wow. Okay. 3, Nas.
Okay. Keep going.
2, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
And one, Jay-Z.
Oh well, I understand. I understand why that list is like it is.
Okay. And this other one is according to it's not important, but it's called some kind of beat rhythm list. That's in general. This is the other one I'm talking about, right?
Okay.
The top 50 greatest hip hop artists of all time.
Okay.
20 is Queen Latifah.
Okay.
19 is Pimp C.
Okay.
18, I have no idea who this person is, brother. Fonte?
No, sir. I won't listen to him.
Yeah, I have no idea who this is, brother. 17 is Ice Cube.
Okay.
16 is DJ Quick. Oh, so DJ Quick is before Ice Cube. Okay, I got it. Um, 15 is who? EIP. Never heard of them. EIP.
Never heard of it.
EI-P as a member of Company Flow. I have no idea
No,
what this is.
never heard of it.
Okay. Number 14 is LL Cool J.
Okay.
13 is RZA.
Okay, he can't rap.
12 is Q-Tip.
I like him, but I like him with Trap Called Quest.
Okay. 11 is Eminem.
Okay. He should. Okay.
10, I have no idea. MF Doom.
Oh man, he died.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
he's all right, but he's not no top 20, 30 rapper. No.
Okay. 9, Nas.
Okay.
18, Kendrick Lamar.
Okay.
Now, this is interesting right here now. 7, Lauryn Hill.
Okay. I agree with that. I can see her as a top 15.
Okay. 6, Andre 3000.
I can see him in the top 20.
5, Dr. Dre.
No, not at all. He's a DJ. He's a DJ, not a rapper. He's not that great at rapping.
Oh God, that's all right. Okay, give me a second here. So what I say here? Yeah, 5, Dr. Dre. 4, Jay-Z. That's pretty bad. Yeah. 3, Missy Elliott.
Wow, they really want to put on there, though.
2, Tupac.
Okay.
And number 1 is Kanye West.
Oh no, that's way off. That's way off. Somebody white did those lists.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true. And that's cool. You
Okay.
know, it was the blacks that participated were very much in agreement. Notice this: KRS-One is not on these lists.
Okay, which I'm gonna get to in a sec. Did you get a chance to see that where we, the KRS-One commentary why he didn't show up? Did you get a chance to see that?
No, I didn't see that.
Okay, good. We're gonna see that. Okay, go. I'm sorry, brother. It's interesting when you said it's kind of coincidental. Okay,
The greatest MC ever is not on the list.
no,
Not in the top 20. Not in the top 5. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. Now that's how you know it's politics. It's based on bias. It's based on pop culture, which is controlled by white culture. It's bullshit, man.
Yeah, I thought you'd be interested on that. So
Most Def not on there. Miss Elliott can't rap like Most Def. Andre 3000 can't either. I like him, but they not on Most Def level. They don't rap like that. I'm just tripping. Tali Kweli, I didn't even know you mentioned that.
No. And I was just looking at the top 20 on
Wow,
that.
that's pretty good. I tell you, in politics, keep going.
Okay. Now we was talking about how the Grammys and stuff like that, and how obviously we talking about that KRS-One didn't show up, and he gave his reasons why he didn't show up. I wanted to show that clip and see what you thought. What's your thought pattern?
Okay.
All right, 1 second here. This is very interesting too. Very interesting. 1 second. Here we go.
Okay.
This institution can never side with, come under, understand the exploitation of our culture. Never would you ever see me standing in the environment where our culture is being exploited. Or if you do see me there, the next moment this thing's gonna fall. I'm there to bring this shit down. If you see me in a situation like that, you should say, yo, watch out. Something's about to happen. Turn your cameras on. Something's about to go down. Why is Chris here? Why is he here? Something's about to, he's going to say some shit right now that it's going to, Having said that, so when I got the call, I immediately saw, First of all, it's the Grammy. You'll get no respect here. None. You have no respect here. Now, respect that, your existence. But you ignored hip hop for 49 years. At the 50th year, you want to call us? 49 years, you ignored us. The 50th year, that's when you call. You couldn't even call on 47 and gear it up to at least 50, okay? At least get us into 47. No, you wait till the 50th year to want to call hip hop's authentic teacher? Nah, you don't get that privilege. I refuse to show up. Y'all go ahead and play games with yourselves. The last part that I did see of this thing, and I haven't seen the show, so I can't judge everything. But, you know, I don't want to say nobody's name, but I'm just saying, let me put it this way. If we know, okay, this is truth now, okay? Nobody's opinion, forget how we feel, forget theory. If we know for a that hip hop is breaking, MCing, graffiti art, and DJ. Now we can argue these other ones, but we know for certain that what we call hip hop is breaking, MCing, graffiti art, DJ. We know that. We've all decided on that. We've all agreed on that. Books are written, documentaries are done. We all know this. So what is all this other stuff? Like, look, what is this other stuff that you're calling hip hop? That's not hip hop. So if you're going to do a hip hop 50th anniversary and you're going to call hip hop to it, you have to have hip hop there. Hip hop was not there.
So, what's your thought pattern?
He's pretty accurate as usual.
Okay.
He explained to you what hip hop included. It don't include just rapping. It's only KRS can put it. That's why he's left out in the top. He's left out the top 5 and all that blatantly. I mean, that's done out of disrespect and on purpose. Because they know the one better than that dude, man.
Okay.
He's the best.
Okay.
No, he was accurate.
Okay.
Chris was accurate.
Okay. Well, there's a couple of quick things left I want to ask you. Well, one of the questions I want to ask you is the N word in this version of modern day hip hop. Why do you think that continues to keep happening in certain parts of hip hop, or rapping part of it?
Because that's how some of us see ourselves. I mean, we see ourselves as the N word. And we try, and it goes back to the oppression of the mind. So if you, sometimes the oppressed take on the ways of the oppressor. If you've been oppressed long enough, you start to act and think like your oppressor. You know, you want his woman, not yours. You want to drive and wear whatever he wears. Whenever you want to do what he does, you want to be him. Indirectly. So the word N-word is no exception. It's disgusting. But we made it like that because we continue to use it. We try to make it cool. We try to say, oh, we this and that. And the funny thing about it, some of the greatest users of the N-word always refer to white people as white people. They'll call black people N-words and then turn right around in the same sentence and say, but you know, white people, in other words, we're going to always respect our mothers and fathers, our gods, our demigods of society. That's all they're saying to me. Because if you can't call them the C word, the H word, you know, or the P word, then why you calling black people the N word? I just bring it home. I know to call white people. That's a respect thing, sir. Yes, boss. I mean, that's just call it what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But with black people, always the N word being used by people that see themselves as the N word. And I lead that with like I told some younger people before. I said, "Do you agree that God made men and women human beings?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
well, yeah, yeah. I said, well, you must also agree with white people made niggas
Mm.
because they didn't exist in any Bibles or holy books. And the first time we heard the name was over here. If someone called us that, dude said deep. Young cat said deep. I said, no, it's not deep. It's common sense. I said, you must also come to the realization someone benefits from you being called the N word.
Mm.
It benefits others.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say it to each other, it makes it even stronger among your own group. So you wonder why you're despised by others in society. And I'm not just talking about by white people,
Mm-hmm.
by other groups. Do you hear them call themselves derogatory terms?
Mm.
And if somebody says, well, I heard them call themselves N word, they're saying that under the influence of black rappers.
Mm.
They're not
Mm-hmm.
going to keep saying that when they 27, 35. You ain't heard them saying
Ah,
that.
that's a good
That's
point.
a put on. That's a youth thing that some other groups might go through. They ain't gonna keep saying that shit because it's gonna get checked at some point. Mhm. But when you don't have a code of conduct for your people, that's what you get.
Okay.
No code of
Okay.
conduct, no code, no system, no organization. Africans organized. And Minister Farrakhan, I'm not Muslim, but that's where I got that from when he said, God made men, people, human beings. White people made niggas. Farrakhan put that in perspective. That's true to this day. And he said that about 27 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just wondering about what your thought pattern on the N word, because like you can't. How can you be mad at somebody else saying that kind of word and be it their lyrics or songs and or this conversation, and then numbers of American blacks get mad at them saying the same thing on that.
Well, if a black dude says to another black dude, "What's up, my nigga?"
Mm-hmm.
When the police come in and surprise your ass at racist police, racist white cop, and
Mm-hmm.
said, "What's up, my nigga?" Before before he
Hold,
exonerates you from the
hold on for a second. Let me add this guy. No, let me add. Let me add him to the stage, okay, for a second.
sure.
Hey, traveling Tony.
What's up, man? Want to come show support? You always drop comments. Want to come say what's up, brother?
Hey, what's going on? Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I was about to go to the gym, but it's raining out here, so I'm just chilling right now. I just pulled up to Razor Ray, so I see you on live, so let me talk to you.
Yeah, I had a gentleman I know named Professor LA, just scoot some hip hop knowledge and stuff like that, man.
Peace.
On
How you
that.
doing? Yeah.
Good, man.
Peace.
Yeah,
Peace.
yeah, this is the general I was saying, Professor LA. That's in Tanzania. He's married to the Tanzania wife.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the
How you
gentleman I'm
doing, man?
talking about.
I'm good,
How
brother.
you
How you
doing?
doing?
I'm
Good,
fine.
good.
Are you Islam alaikum? Are you Muslim?
Oh no. I
Oh, okay.
honestly, huh?
I know it's a lot of Muslims over in Tanzania.
I would have been I would have become Muslim if I was with a Tanzanian woman that was
Right,
traditional Muslim and they
right,
required me to
right.
convert to marry. I would have done that, but I had to become Roman Catholic because I don't really have too much
Oh,
stake in religion. So
okay,
I believe there's a higher power, but no one knows who it is for sure. So
okay.
that's
All
my
right,
perspective.
okay. Bring it on. All right.
Yeah, yeah, because we almost finishing up, man. About the hip hop, man. What's going? Did they talk about anything dealing with hip hop over there in Tanzania area?
Yeah, so what I was gonna tell you, cause by your comment or whatever, so like, and I heard you guys talking about the uses of the N word. So here and in Africa, period, people will just use it like recreationally. You know what I'm saying? But it sounds funny with their accent or whatever, but they don't have the history behind the word that we do. We share the same skin colors, but they don't
Right.
have the same history. You know what I'm saying? Their history is totally different. So the word is just commercial now. It's a commercialized word. So people, once they realize you're Black American, they may even throw it at you a few times, you know, in a
They get,
joking. Yeah, they will. And it sounds
but
funny because of their accent, you know. It doesn't sound normal. You know, with us, it just sounds normal when we use it, you know, in our regular sentences. But,
well, that's interesting because I don't know if I would say African people, Native Africans that live in places like South Africa would accept, since they're called Kafirs by white Boers. I don't know if they would play. I don't know if they would feel that if they're being called the N word there, because I know they get called that there. And I think also in some other Arab countries, they refer to blacks as Abibs and as niggas too. So, and I know that from talking and just researching myself. So I don't think the N word is cool at all. I think that it falsifies a reality. Because
well,
if the N word is that cool, how come no one's ever come with the brilliant description to give words like cracker, peckerwood, or honky have never become regular sayings in any form of music, any form of communication, or any form of dialogue anywhere in the world? Why? Because you can't make a word that people who you're disgusted with, what other people name you, can never be made cool. And so I think that's one of the sad things in the psychology of hip hop is the word usage. We're the only, and to add to that, on the hip hop, we're the only people that refer to our women as bees and hoes in music. We're the only people that, in our music, we advertise and we emphasize killing our own people.
I
No
agree.
other group does that in their music. So there's a sick psychology with hip hop too, especially modern hip hop. So, people can say, oh, they can try to play. We can't play that down because the reality can't play it down. The reality says this is what it is. You know.
So you brought up South Africa. South Africa is a copy and paste of America. They had segregation,
Right.
racism, uh, you know, differences, colorism, light skin, dark skin, Zulu, Xhosas, beefing. See, that doesn't really exist in other parts of Africa like that. But South Africa is a copy and paste because they were conquered by the same people. The British came over. South Africa is essentially the Queen's, bottom. You know what I'm saying? They run that
Yeah.
country. The white man
Yeah,
has
but
his fingers all through South Africa, but not here
what,
essentially. So, huh?
but that's you live in an Arab country. You said
But I've been to South Africa
Tanzania,
first, though. I went to South Africa first before I came here. I actually went to South Africa initially. My first entry into Africa from Brazil. I went from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, to South
which is
Africa.
also racist. Keep going.
Right, right. So Rio de Janeiro and South Africa was actually about the same. Actually, South Africa is worse because people that look my skin color are in the hood. There's hoods in South Africa. Everybody that's dark like me lives in like project style, Marcy project buildings. You know what I'm
Right,
talking
right,
about, New York.
right,
It looks like the Northeast where I'm from, like New York.
right.
So, but that's what I'm saying. So South Africa and America are very similar. This place and America are totally different. Totally different. Like
Okay.
polar
But- but-
opposites.
Okay. You're in Tunisia, am I right?
Tanzania right now, Tanzania,
Oh,
yes.
Tanzania. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm in
I'm
Tanzania. I'm in
sorry.
East Africa.
Okay. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're talking about Julius Nyerere. Are we talking about like Tanzania as in Julius Nyerere?
Yes,
So,
yes,
so
yes,
am I
yes,
right? Is that
yes,
what you're
yes,
talking
yes.
about?
Talk about that. Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Oh no, you talking about more. You talking about East Africa,
Yeah, I'm in East Africa.
not far from Kenya and
I'm right
Ethiopia.
next to Kenya. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I'm part Ethiopian. So
Okay, okay.
you talking? Oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. That's different mindset.
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally different
they
mindset.
fought off colonialism. They
Yeah,
fought off colonial. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
They don't follow the
Okay.
colonial. Oh no.
Yes, sir. I was yeah, they fought. Yeah, that's a different kind of. Okay, I was mishearing you. I thought you were saying Tunisia.
I don't know nothing about Tunisia. I don't know nothing about those smaller countries. I don't know nothing about those smaller countries. I don't even go to small countries. I do not go to small country. I'm not interested.
Okay.
Small country,
Yeah,
small
yeah, yeah,
minds.
yeah.
Usually.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right.
Tanzania, Tanzania. Yeah, yeah, very much. I'm familiar with that. Okay.
Yeah. I love
Yeah, but
Tanzania. I'm
I
living here.
feel the shackles of colonizations, neo-colonialism still runs a lot of Africa.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but it does. You know, I
Southern
wish that when the
Africa,
kings.
especially. You see it a
Yeah, I
lot, like
mean, yeah,
Botswana, all those places. They're super
yeah,
powerful.
you know,
Yeah.
a lot of the French colonies,
Yep.
like they're
West
fighting over
Africa.
in Nigeria and Burkina Faso. They're still fighting the French now. I mean, it's neo-colonialism is still there in a lot of places, But I salute, places like where you at. I mean, they have an interesting history. That's an
Yeah.
interesting history. And then
Well,
there's,
let me.
go ahead.
My bad. Say, Travis, tell me, say, because I know you probably got some things going on too. How is there a lot of hip hop being played down there?
No. So in here, they play 70% local music.
Mm-hmm.
Government, the government said they have to play 70% local music. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why they maintain their culture. They're not absorbing so much of our culture like Kenya. Kenya, they absorb a lot of hip hop, a lot of
Okay.
hip hop. They don't understand it like that. They don't know the words. Like one girl was listening to a Cardi B song, ran down on the B twice. She didn't understand what ran down meant. She was just listening Cardi B, Cardi B. That's all she knew. She didn't
Mm.
understand what the word. Like they don't understand our sayings. It sounds cool, but they don't understand what it really means. Like
Right.
sliding and spinning the block. They don't know it. They don't know those things at all. Because
Okay.
they don't deal with that. People ain't, running down on people with guns. But in South Africa, they are. In South Africa, you could get ran up on by a gun in Johannesburg, broad
Mm-hmm.
daylight. You got to be careful out there. That place sucks. I'll
Mm-hmm.
never go back there. It's too dangerous. It's too dangerous.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Well,
they're playing a lot of Afro beats up there.
Yeah, they play a lot of Afro beats, but mainly they play Swahili music. But
Oh,
they do
okay.
play a lot of
Okay.
Afro.
Okay.
Swahili. They have to play 70% Swahili music.
Okay, is the Julius Nyerere influence still strong?
You talking about the airport?
Yeah, no, Julius Nyerere, is his influence still strong in the country?
Oh,
The former
I'm not sure.
because he
Oh,
was
the
the
former
person that got
president
it
was Magufuli. The former president
before
was
him, the
Magufuli.
one who
His
got it.
influence is still strong. Magufuli, because
Oh,
that's why they have a female president, because they killed Magufuli. And I can say this because it ain't my platform, but because I don't want them trying to kill me. You know what I'm saying?
right.
But yeah, they and it's believed even by locals that America had something to do with it. Because if you notice, you see Samia, the female president, in America a lot now. The locals here believe they killed that. He was like the hero, but he also was the one that didn't lock the country down for COVID. So it makes sense he got killed. You know, COVID was an agenda.
well, that's interesting because Julius Nyerere, yeah, because Julius Nyerere is the person that's responsible for their independence. He was a
Mhm.
fighter. He was the first president. He's the one that got the influence of all the Europeans out of there. That's why I'm just asking what his influence was like still there. Because Nyerere
No,
was
they
a,
don't.
was
They
a
don't talk
strong
about
dude.
him.
Malcolm X talked about Nyerere. Really?
They
Okay.
don't. Talk, they
Okay.
only talk
Mm.
That's
about Mac.
interesting.
Yeah, they
Let
talk
me
about
ask you,
Mac.
let me ask you a question, Travis. Tony. I want to play one other video
Yeah, go
for
ahead.
Professor.
I'll beat myself. Go ahead.
What's your thought of what's going on in hip hop right now?
Um. So I don't agree with it, but at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, uh, the new generation, like my generation and lower, are so
Mm-hmm.
mind controlled, and there's such a disparity between my generation and like the older generations, and especially like Austin Holloman's generation and the older
Mm-hmm.
generation. Huge differences, right? I think something happened in America to where I don't know, like my generation didn't receive a lot of guidance from the older generations.
Right.
Like your generation was guided. You know what I mean? My generation, we weren't really guided that much by our parents. They just let us
Mm-hmm.
do what we want. You know what I'm saying? Well, not what we want. We have to obviously get good grades and stuff like that. But now these kids are just killing each other for fun. I think America is profiting on it. Because remember before they tried to stop it with the Slim Shady era, all that stuff. They tried to stop that type of music, but people were fighting for it. You know, with like NWA stuff like that. They tried to stop that type of music, but people wanted it so bad, and now they just gave us what we wanted, and it transformed into this disgusting, promoting romanticizing genocide. So I don't
Mm-hmm.
agree with it, but it's just what is normalized now.
Do they do anything with break dancing or anything like that?
Out here?
Yes, sir.
No, they don't. They do like African dances. I'm a piano. Like they'll do like South African type dances, but their stuff is mainly continental.
Okay. Okay. Because I know one of these last videos I wanted to play for Professor to take a look at is we talking about breakdancing, Professor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to play one last
Okay, go
clip.
ahead.
Okay.
I'm gonna calm down. Go ahead.
You want? Okay. All right.
I'll
Hey, Travis, you gone?
No, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna chill for a few. I don't got nothing
Okay.
to do. It's raining.
Okay. Right quick before I show this. Okay. When is your next video coming out?
Oh, I just dropped a video yesterday, so my next video probably out in a few days. I'm gonna go live in a few days too, probably. My schedule is very random. I just kind of do it. I just got monetized, so.
Oh man! Congratulations, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Congratulations. Yes, sir.
Yeah, we was
Yeah,
talking
I have to
about that
drop a lot of
before.
video.
Yeah,
Huh?
we was talking about that before. I said, man, you finna get to go monetize, man. You get over
Yeah,
1,000
man.
something
I'm
subscribers,
happy.
man.
Yeah, man.
Man.
I'm just grateful, grateful that people even watch my content.
Man.
I'm appreciative.
Well, like Professor, him being part of Ethiopian too, he's extraordinary on his knowledge, man. Because he's got a book called Hip Hop Collectathon, and like the book called The Beatles and the Rolling Stones and the Power of Black Music, right? And so he does a lot of stuff. I mean, very knowledgeable brother. And I make this point, like, can you remember, Professor? I was telling you about the gentleman I know of in Tanzania.
Right.
You remember I was talking about him?
Yes, sir.
And the gentleman I was talking about, man, good guy, man. He doesn't romanticize it, man. He keeps stuff in reality. That's why he's got a good channel, a real good channel, man. On
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
I have to check you out.
Yeah, man. Traveling Tony Nani?
You can just put Traveling Tony. It'll come up.
Okay. I'm
Traveling
gonna play
Tony. Okay.
Yeah, Traveling Tony. I'm gonna play this one last one, Professor.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch it too.
Okay. 1 second. Get right. Hip hop. 1 second. So I'll play that clip because since the Olympics is coming in next year, 2024, and you hear like we talking about Professor about hip hop, right? And the 50th anniversary, they said one of the elements is breakdancing, but at the same time, people got act like that breakdancing just started in the 70s and 80s. But to me, I'm looking at this progenitor back then that was sitting there doing that then.
Oh,
So
no.
what's your thought pattern, Professor? Professor?
It's breaking. Breakdancing. Yeah, we have people doing that. I mean, if you go look at top, you can see the Nicholas brothers incorporating elements of breakdancing as well. So it's like whether you're on people dancing in the hay yard or doing a hayride, coming off the plantation, it's a form of exercise. At that time period, and it was entertainment. Just entertainment and exercise for Black people. And so a lot of our dances have been created out of that. And then it was also a release. It provided a release for us, an innocent release. So it's just another element of hip hop. We've done it on in the South, on the East, West, wherever we are. It just evolved into what we see in hip hop today, or in more modern hip hop, or hip hop from the '80s. It just evolved. It was something that people just, hey, okay, this was They didn't maybe probably didn't realize that it existed. Nothing's new under the sun, but people started dancing. We started moving. A lot of the same kind of moves just evolved. A lot of dances that were been done in the '70s, you also see in hip hop. If you look at, if you go back and look at Soul Train, they used to have like the Lockets, and they had the Soul Train gang, and they've always had these guys that would be pop locking. Well, that was kind of like the basis for what would become pop locking and the breakdancing and everything. You can see it even on Soul Train, and that's early '70s Soul Train. We're talking about when I'm like in elementary school. You were seeing that Shabba-Doo and Rerun from What's Happening. Those guys. Those are elements of hip hop dance. The basis. So I mean, it's just part of a tradition. All in,
Well,
all in the all in the black family.
okay. Yeah, 'cause I make that point because it's like, again, did hip hop or rapping start 50 years ago on that?
Not as hip hop. It started like in 1970. If you want to call it, the people that can qualify that are the people in the South Bronx. I mean, if they say that Block Party was it, and that's where it started, it just started amongst them, just them. That does not mean that the people that were living in Georgia or in Texas or in California or in Seattle, Washington, or in Minnesota or Chicago or Philly were listening to or hearing that. That means they can make that claim because the basis of it starts there. So they can say that hip hop block party is what started it in 1973 when DJ Cool heard all these other cats that Rashid is showing in his video come and say, hey, it started around that time with amongst them. Yeah, so that's true. But if I say it's 50 years old in terms of the totality of the world and of all of America, the United States, then that's not accurate. It starts in 1979. As far as you go take a census and you ask the average person, when does it start? They're gonna say 1979. How? Well, the first song I heard was Sugar Hill Gang, or the first thing I heard was the Fatback Band doing King Tim the Third. They're gonna say something of that nature, something like that. There's nothing else that predates that style coming out of music called hip hop. So that's it, pretty much. In terms of the 50 years, it's really more like 44 years, to be
So,
honest.
so should we not put some things in perspective and say, yes, within the 50 years, but the prototype, actually, some of that stuff comes before that. Should we not put some perspective on that?
Well, I think we do just by discussing it. I don't think, but we can't say what those guys you just showed in the video that was hip hop. We can't say that was hip hop. We can say it was like the prototype. Like I said, with the rapping of say Louis Jordan doing "You Gotta Have the Beat" from 1941,
Hmm.
1943. That you can classify that as the prototype. You can classify "Here Come the Judge" by Pygmy Morton as a prototype. You can't call it. It's not hip hop because they wouldn't even say it was hip hop. They would have said it was whatever genre they were singing. If I look at Cab Calloway, and Cab Calloway rapped in a lot of his stuff. Heidi, 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 ho. Somebody could say part of that contributed to the genre of the slang of hip hop. Okay, Cab Calloway said, no, this is jazz. So you have to, elements of hip hop spring from everywhere. There is no one, and like I said earlier, it's built on the backs of other music anyway. There is no James Brown. There is no damn hip hop. I
Hmm.
mean, if you're period. Uh, if there is no Parliament Funkadelic, there is no hip hop. If there is no Bob James, there is no hip hop. I mean, there's so many artists whose music made it essential to be called hip hop. I mean, for the music to develop. Because if you're rapping over somebody else's music, the beat and the music and the cadence is all it's already been organized and arranged. All you just put a voice to it. Now, if you want to scratch on it, you can do that. That's fine,
Hmm.
but it doesn't change the beat. So if I'm playing, uh, let's say if I have a song like we got Kid and Play doing Ola Ola, if they doing that, where anybody that knows music, especially from DC, oh, this go-go music. Oh, these guys are rapping over go-go music. Doom. Oh, because that's what it was. So I'm not saying Kid and Play. They don't predate Trouble Funk. They don't predate Chuck Brown and the Soul Searchers. But they brought go-go music into hip hop. I can say the same thing with Diggable Planets. I'm cool like that, fat like that. Okay, they brought a style of bebop jazz, and so did Trap Called Quest. They bring that element of that genre of black music into hip hop because hip hop is built on other forms of black music. So therefore, I can't make a direct connection. I can make an offshoot when you as far as people like uh the Pygmy Markhams, the Louis Jordans, they're the prototypes. So that's why in my book I use them as I tell people how that's connected to hip hop. But do I say that hip hop? Of course not. I said, but you have to, if you're into hip hop, you're really a hip hop head. If you really know it and you really study it, you have to you draw the dots because you listen to the music, you listen to the syncopation, listen to how they flow, how the words flow, and everything. So you make the connections like that. You interloop the information. There can be no hip hop. Sylvia Robinson, the founder of Sugar Hill Records, she was a rock and roll, R&B, and soul singer. That hey, she had some people rapping on the corner. They were not doing that. She said, "We put that to some music. We have some really that'd be solid." Okay, it just so happened the chosen one was the group Chic had a song called "Good Times." Man, we put that. I said a hip hop. We put Sugar Hill Gang over the Good Time beats from Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards. We got a hit. Now they playing at the disco. They playing everywhere. You know. So again, we can extrapolate or we can push this or connect this, but we can't just say, "Oh, boom, that's hip hop." So I stand by what I say when I say it's not 50 years old in terms of the nation or the world. It's 50 years old for those people that were in that South Bronx neighborhood in 1973. Because if you go look at any charts from 1973 to 1978, you're not gonna see any hip hop on there. Billboard, soul, R&B, rock, and there is no hip hop on there. It doesn't even exist. Who's getting to play at that time? Groups like the Stylistics, people like Teddy Pendergrass, people like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, people like Chic, people like Parliament. I mean, R&B, funk, and soul. James Brown is still on the scene. The Isley Brothers. That was the common. Those are the common songs of the common artists in most black households, along with the gospel, along with gospel. And those that might have listened to jazz, maybe if you had some people that were into John Coltrane, that might have had some Miles Davis, some Thelonious Monk, but that was essentially what was in black household, in gospel. Mahalia Jackson, the Hawkins singers, people like that, Rita Franklin and her dad, that kind of stuff. But there was no hip hop. And then if I would take it further, if I talk to someone that was living in Brooklyn or in any parts of New York, I question if everybody in the state of New York was on that. They couldn't have been anyway. So are we saying people that were in Syracuse, New York, knew about it when it came out? The people in Buffalo know about it. They were in New York. I doubt it. So it's unique to the people of the South Bronx.
Okay. Okay.
And all the rest of us just come lately.
You say what now? You could become lately.
All the rest of us just come lately. As far as the genre goes, as far as the genre of hip hop, we all just come lately. But it was their thing to start. But everybody else, we evolved it. We made it evolve. Because the good thing about hip hop is it took on many other flavors. It took on many other directions and many other attitudes and sounds. That's what made hip hop hip hop. Because when it got down south, I mean, Outkast didn't sound like anybody ever in hip hop before them. Okay. So if you want to go over to West Coast, okay. A lot of people like NWA or they like Snoop. Well, I'm talking about the West Coast that I like. I prefer stuff like Black Alicia's or The Coop. So nobody sounded like them. Or I could say Razzcast. No one sounded like that. Or we're going to talk about Tupac Shakur. It just, we can go in any direction. Or if we go back Midwest, if we go up near uh, Chicago, back up that way. Prior to Common and Kanye West, you have this group called what is it, Itchy Itchy Everything. It was a girl and a lot of guys. They had a song called "Smoking on Hay" in the middle of the barn. You remember that? Smoking on hay in the middle of the barn. You remember that song?
Man, that's a long time ago. I'm trying to remember that
Okay,
one.
that's what I'm saying. That group, Crucial Conflict.
Oh yeah,
Crucial Conflict. Yeah,
the
yeah,
sisters.
yeah. They
Yeah, I remember to say that nice little one of the hits they did. One of the hits they
no,
did.
no,
Um, oh, man, what's the name of that song, man? It was nice little. They was in that little like a low rider type vehicle. I think it was.
no. I'm
Oh,
talking
Crucial
about Crucial
Conflict. Oh,
Conflict. It was
the group
guys.
concert, the group
Yeah,
concert. I'm
the
talking about
group
the
Crucial
concert daughter,
Conflict.
the
Yeah.
daughter. Yeah,
Oh
Crucial
no,
Conflict. I
no,
remember.
Crucial
Yeah,
Conflict.
yeah, yeah.
No
The
one
group.
sounded
Yeah.
like Crucial Conflict. When Crucial
Okay.
Conflict came out, no one sounded like them. Now I tell people when no one sounded like Tribe Called Quest. When Tribe Called, when they came out, Electric Relaxation, and they put the jazz. I mean, no one sounded like that. No one sounded like All Out Kill and Play when they came out. No one sounded like Salt and Pepper when they came out. So it depends on where you were in the United States. So everybody's hip hop took on its own flavor depending on where you were from. You know, if you were in Florida, then it was that really hip hop that Luke Campbell was doing? Because it made
Mm-hmm.
us laugh. Because we never thought Uncle Luke was really rapping. He was just saying stuff. He had funky beats and the girls dancing, but most of us was just watching the girls shake. That's
Mm.
but do we give him credit as being a hip hop pioneer? Of course. Cause he, that cursing and all that exploited stuff, he had to go to court and fight the Congress and Senate to get them labels start coming out on the records. So
Mm.
all that, it's all part of hip hop. But all that kind of stuff that didn't happen in New York. That was people in Florida, Texas, Chicago, other parts of the United States when they started to develop their own forms of hip hop. So
Mm.
yeah, I mean, South Bronx got it as far as the incubator, the basis, but you know, uh, everybody got their own flavor depending on where you're from. And at 50 years old, when you talk about people from the Bronx, it is for them. But for me and many others, it's 40 something years old, about 44, 1979, 2023. That's about 44 years.
Can you see the Can you see the comment, Professor, on the screen?
Uh, no, I don't see it.
You don't see
Oh,
any
wait,
comment?
wait a minute, wait. Hip hop.
No, no. On a comment. Can you see that?
No, I don't see any comments yet. Everyone can see and hear you. I see that.
No. You should see some kind of comment from traveling Tony, the
Oh
gentleman. You
no,
don't see
no, I don't see his comment.
on the screen. You don't see that?
I'm looking hip hop anniversary. No, it's not.
Oh,
It's not flowing through here.
huh. Do you
That
see?
was an intelligent brother, though. I mean, what
Yeah.
now? I don't.
Okay.
Traveling Tony. Shout out to him. I appreciate him listening. He was an intelligent brother. But but I don't. I don't see any comment.
Yeah, because he put on a great show.
Oh, okay, that's wonderful. Especially coming from a younger brother like that. That's good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good brother, man. He got some good content. I say 'cause we need a lot more people, brothers on the continent to talk about some issues there as well. Talk about different things, I salute him because he's married to a Tanzanian woman.
Yeah, Tanzania. Yeah,
Uh,
he got a real African queen then.
right. And they look real good together and stuff like that. Like a great couple, come from good background.
Right.
Um, so I definitely, he knows I appreciate him, stopping by and I try to show him support as well. So so Travel Tony, he's one of those guys, man. He's a real good guy, man. You're a good guy.
Okay. So
on
he
there.
has a show. He has a show that
Yeah,
comes on.
yeah, Traveling Tony 90, on YouTube. We talked about different things. They experience it in different places he goes in Tanzania himself or with his wife.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
it's a
I'm
good
so
show,
glad
man.
I was clear on that because I thought you were saying Tunisia at first. I'm like, what? That's an Arab country. But
No,
yeah, I
Tanzania.
believe
Yeah.
Tanzania. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the home. That's where Julius Nyerere, one of the greatest uh, fighters of colonialism, never come out of Africa. That's where he was from.
Mm,
Julius Nyerere. I know. I don't even know. I should have asked him, is Julius Nyerere still on the currency? Because his picture used to be on Son of the Money over there. He'll probably
okay.
let you know. Yeah, his money, his face used to be on Son of the Currency. I don't know if it is now. But I know
Yeah.
he's the one he got them their independence back in the 60s. I want to say 62 or 64 back in there. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I told you to see the comments because I have it on here that any kind of comments show up that you be able to see yourself. I don't know why you can't see the comments. It's
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah, cause, I mean, 'cause you still see the work. You see the two things on. You still see mine and yours up here, right?
right.
Yeah,
It
but
might
right.
pop up. Maybe my screen might be too small. I don't know. It
Oh,
might.
okay. Cause
Yeah,
yeah,
it might be because I'm on a phone.
okay,
So
okay then. Yeah, okay, that might be
yeah,
it then.
yeah,
Yeah. So
that
yeah,
might be
so
it.
yeah, so I don't want to hold you up, fella, man. I appreciate
No,
it, man.
man. I mean, no, it's good, but I'm on break, so I break
Yeah,
a record with this hip hop thing. But
yeah,
anyway, yeah, I'm gonna
yeah.
say, but hip hop,
Well,
man, I love hip hop. If I
mhm.
didn't love it, I wouldn't have wrote a book on it.
Well, that's
I
why.
love, I love hip hop, but I'm
Well,
just
that's
like the hip hop I love is not being created anymore.
what do you see the picture? You see the picture on the screen, right?
Oh yeah, that's a throwback to the hip hop I grew up with. That
Yeah.
bebop, that box, that jam box, or that ghetto blaster. That's what white people used to call jam boxes, ghetto blasters.
No,
It was so
no, I'm
out.
talking about no. So you see the
You
picture up
talking
there
about
right now on the
the,
video.
the hip hop, yeah, the hip hop book,
Yeah.
yeah, the book, yeah, hip hop collectathon by me, yeah. That's a book. If people really want to know that history or that history from a very honest perspective, I recommend that book.
How do
I mean,
they?
from an honest perspective outside of the Bronx. I mean, because I can't speak from the Bronx. I'm not from the South Bronx. I can't speak to that experience that they had in 1973. I wouldn't have that in 73. I was listening to whatever soul records were being played here. That's what I was listening to, in R&B and rock. But
Uh-huh.
for those people that might have been around to enjoy those break parties or whatever they were having in the South Bronx, I say, hey, more power to you. But that book starts with the hip hop I know about, so that's why
So
I
I guess
call it collectathon.
so. One last question I ask you on this, on this particular podcast. What a one question and a comment. What made you write the Hip Hop Collectathon book?
Um, I think I wanted to see a hip hop book with substance because a lot of hip hop books I had read or seen, they were not substantive enough. It seemed like they were always they were writing from a perspective of appeasement rather
Mm-hmm.
than from a perspective of honesty. Also, I wanted to see a book written by somebody from the South
Mm-hmm.
about hip hop. Now, interesting thing about me writing the book, even though I was from the South, from Texas, I was mainly in the East Coast hip hop.
Mm.
I didn't like most Southern hip hop because it was derogatory. It was negative. Now, did I like uh Goody Mob? Hell yeah. Did I like Outkast? Love them. But a lot of that stuff we had in the South. I mean, A-Ball and MJG, they had a couple of conscious songs, in the mix, but a lot of stuff that was coming out of the South, it just didn't. You weren't saying that in your lyrics, and it was all street related and being poverty pushed, and how you being done by the system, but you ain't doing nothing to fight it, systematically come up to fight back. Your
Mm-hmm.
music just didn't appeal to me. But
Mm-hmm.
I think my intuition, curiosity, and then the need. I saw a need for the book. That's why I wrote it too. Because again, a lot of the hip hop books I was picking up and reading, they were written by white people, And then the ones that weren't written by white people, it was a lot of, I was coming across books that were written by black people, but the editor or the co-writer was white. And no, I'm not saying that, I'm not anti-white or saying that, oh, that's bad. That we need, you know, what, why we got white people every time. But I did question as to why I wasn't seeing books outside of Nelson George, maybe. I wasn't seeing books completely written by, you know, just black people. You know, with, I mean, it's our art form, and we can't blame other people if we don't do stuff for ourselves independently. We can't keep pointing fingers at other groups like, oh, well, I got the Mister, Goldstein or whoever had to sign off or that. I mean, I understand you work with everybody and other people, but you still want to get to some point where you want to do something for yourself. It's just, to me, it's just part of being human, the development of of being a human being. You just do. And if you belong, or you're a member of the African race or the black race, you really should be pushing for some, self-reliance and independency. Because we have a reputation for being codependent on other people, and that's a bad reputation to have.
Okay.
Even though many of us aren't like that, but we have a codependency uh, reputation, and some of us mentality. So that's what made
Hmm.
me write the book. Man, I saw a need. We needed it. We needed a hip hop book like the one I wrote.
Okay.
Because it didn't
Uh,
exist. And not only, I do give different perspectives. There are white people coming in my book, Asians, Mexicans, Indians, everybody. Because there's a section of the book where it's different people from different perspectives where they give their voice. I can't speak from what a white person's perspective was about hip hop, but I did interview a white person and let them, put their statement in my book. I did interview a Mexican person, an Asian person. I did in more than one. And because there's a section where we hear from different people, different groups, and then other black people, because all black people don't see hip hop the same. So I thought that was being fair and unbiased. You know.
okay. Now, one last thing. Now, what about the Beatles and the Rolling Stones, The Power of Black Music? What made you decide to write that book?
Once again, I saw a need. Prior to me writing it, nobody was writing anything like that. It's almost like, okay, I guess this will sum it up. I have a lot of books. I have different books on musicians as well. All my good books, I looked at Catch a Fire by Timothy White. He is white, but the book's about Bob Marley. I have a book on Billie Holiday. I have a book on Coltrane. I have a book on Miles. I have a book on Duke Ellington. I have a book on Jimi Hendrix, by two or three on Jimi Hendrix. You know what all these books have in common?
Hmm.
They're all written by white people.
Mm. Okay.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's what bothered me. One, we writing books. If they write book on people, well, if I like a white artist, a white musician, if I listen to the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, if I somewhere in my life got discovered them and got into their music, or I listen to Pink Floyd or Led Zeppelin, why can't I write on them? Why can't I be the authority on them? Because the problem is, or the thing that happens was, let's say there's a book on Ray Charles and it's written by this white guy, or different white people. When people want to hear, when they go do the research, and they say, we need somebody to come talk about this person. We want an expert on Ray Charles. We want an expert on Sam Cooke. If all the books that are out on them, all the information that's been put out on them is given by white people, then what that says is that, well, damn. You mean tell me there are no black people concerned enough or care enough about one of their own members of their own group to write books on them? So that white person becomes the authority on that black subject matter. So I put myself in that position. I like the Beatles, I like the Rolling Stones, and I understand they were both British white groups playing black music. And I know that from research and sources and everything. So I said, hey, you know what? I want to be authority on them. So I did the research. I become authority too because I own their records as well. I have VHS tapes with them, cassette tapes, all kind of stuff. So I pronounced I'm not saying boldly, but I pronounce without any threat, without any fear, that look, yeah, I'm gonna be the authority on the Beatles and Stones. If they can be the authority on, the Little Richards and the Chuck Berrys, and still book about soul or Marvin Gaye and it's them, then I surely can be an authority on a book about the Beatles and the Rolling Stones without any problems. So
Mm.
that's all I need, man. And it also was a form uh, of kind of expressing freedom of thought, freedom of press, freedom of speech.
Mm.
I just used the Constitution to define why my book was written, because again, there are people that saw it and it catches your attention. It's an eye grabber, that's for sure. So that's why, and I felt that I owed it to my ancestors. I owed it to all the great black people that never got compensated or that no one knew about and they got overlooked. And, the British white groups were benefiting from them. And that might didn't matter. A lot of people might not know, but it mattered to me. So I wanted to do something to make sure that, hey, well, Rome said in this book right here, who in the hell is Howlin' Wolf? Somebody might know who. Oh, it's an old black dude. Oh, that's what they were trying to do. What? Oh, who's Muddy Waters? Oh, who is Willie Dixon? Oh, well, who is this guy named John Lee Hooker? Oh, wait a minute, who is this? Who is Slim Poe Harper? Who is Charlie Patton? Okay, well, I found that out when I read his book. That I didn't know that Eric Clapton was borrowing those licks. I mean, come on. So that's why to empower my people, man. More so than anything. If you can't fix the dots if you can't connect the dots. So
Wow.
I just connected the dots, man. I owe
Okay.
that to I owe it to all the great black musicians that left here penniless, poverty stricken. No one knew who they were. No, they're not in any libraries. Nobody talks about them. They just go on. I owe them that. And I don't care who we are. We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors, whether we admit it or not. I don't care how old you are. If you black anywhere in the world, you standing on them some ancestors. Now, white people stand on their ancestors and they acknowledge them. And I'm not knocking them for that. You should. They have books, libraries of certain people, they keep it on your mind. So
Mm.
we should do the same thing. You know,
That's,
always
yeah.
acknowledge the shoulders that you stand on. I stand on the shoulders of George Andrews. I stand on the shoulders of Rufus T. Top. I stand on the shoulders of D. Ford Bailey. I mean, hey, all of those guys.
And so
And,
that's
and
why.
great guys and women. There were some sisters too.
Right.
There was
Right.
a sister Rosetta Thorpe and Tina Turner's and um what's her name? The great rock and roll female singer, Ruth Brown, and the Chantels and all these great women. But we stand on their shoulders, so I had to put
Well,
it in print, man.
those definitely are great books, and and I want to keep any further. And any last words that you want to relay over before we close out the podcast, Professor La?
Don't stop the hip hop, but hip hop has dropped, and all this new modern hip hop, the drill music and all that, and you look at what it's become now. I never thought hip hop would sink this low, and I hope that its own life support. I hope that it can revitalize itself at some point and get back on track. And I still also would say to people, seek conscious hip hop. Conscious hip hop is the only hip hop that matters when we look at everything and the totality of it. The only hip hop that really, really matters when you come down to it is conscious hip hop. Now, people might say whatever that is preachy or whatever. I don't care. At the end of the day, conscious hip hop is what matters. And the reason I'm saying it is this: you take a guy like Ti. Ti did trap music. We already know what that is. Okay. Ti now be trying to use names like Malcolm X and conscious shit now. I mean, he's talking when you hear this little podcast thing. He wasn't conscious in his music, but now he conscious. That's what 40 something.
Mm.
So it took you this long to wake up. But you see people like KRS-One and Mos Def and Talib Kweli and Tribe Called Quest and De La Soul and the Fugees and Diggable Planets, people, those people in Arrested Development and Public Enemy, and Jungle Brothers, they were saying that stuff that it took you to 40-something years old to get to. They were saying that in their 20s. That's why I say conscious hip hop is the only hip hop that matters. Master P talking like that. Garvey talk now, but he wasn't talking like that when he was doing it. You see what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you end up saying you talking now that you're a man, that you're really well because of what you contributed to. Now you referring you talking about the conscious hip hop people been talking when they were in their 20s. Puff Daddy, same thing. He had nerve to even use Marcus Garvey. He took you to 50 years old. Jay-Z, the 444 album, it took you to 50 years old to realize that this was what was the conscious hip hop was the only kind that mattered. So you do an album that's conscious. So my point is, at the end of the day, that's the only kind of hip hop that's gonna save hip hop is conscious hip hop. Kendrick Lamar, I salute. J. Cole's, I salute. And Joey Badass, I salute, because those are about the only people that drop knowledge that I've heard in terms of younger people in hip hop. They don't people that really are I guess, seeking truth and information. Lupe Fiasco's a little older now. He did drop him knowledge too. Because at the end of the day, all that other stuff ain't gonna matter. You be 50 something, 40 something, 60 years old, coming back now, saying stuff that rappers like, Boots Riley of the Coop was saying he was 21. I mean, you gotta be ashamed. It's ridiculous, man. So at the end of the day, conscious hip hop is the only hip hop that matters, period. You can argue Tupac was conscious, and then he was the gangster thug. Well, the gangster thug is what cost him his life. Conscious hip hop didn't. Conscious hip hop is what made his life great. The other kind is what made him an ancestor before his time. Is what made him an ancestor before his time. Great artists should never be on that side. It should stay on the positive side. Period.
Strong words. Well, I'm going to close it out. So I cannot say it enough. I appreciate you, Professor LA, appreciate you for taking time to come on the show and give some of that powerful knowledge.
Oh yeah, brother. Anytime, man. I thank you again. I'm humbled. I'm very humbled, and I salute you. I wish you so continued success. Thank you again for having me, and I hope I shed some light on something for someone that was listening or that will be listening. Because at the end of the day, truth is truth. So that's what I have to say.
Well, you heard it straight from the professor with those powerful knowledge words. So thank you, Professor, and I'll close out the podcast. And thank y'all for tuning in to the Real CP Show.